Chapter 16:30. This time, the person who spoke was the head elder, Wang Bulin, who rarely appeared in the Dan Alliance. In the Dan Alliance, other than the Alliance Master Lin Ruchong, in reality, the 3 Vice Alliance Masters and the 7 Elders were on the same level. Also, the strange thing was that the 3 Vice Alliance Masters all followed Lin Ruchong's lead. But out of the 7 Elders, other than Tang Ao, the rest supported Wang Buluin. Although Tang Ao is an elder of the Dan Alliance in name, Tang Ao doesn't have much of a sense of identity with the Dan Alliance. On the first day, he became an elder of the Dan Alliance. Tang Ao was attacked by Yang Miao and the others. Also, in the past few days, the experts of the Dan Alliance have not been able to find Tang Ao. So, right now, Tang Ao's image of the Dan Alliance is very bad. I, Wang Bulin, do not agree to waste the Dan Alliance's resources to save a person like that. Hua Yuan nodded, then looked at Di Wenming. In the Dan Alliance, all the old guys from the same generation as him had already fallen. Towards the younger generation of the Dan Alliance, he only liked Di Wenming the most. Although his own disciple Lin Ruchong was not bad, he was too indecisive. Wenming, what do you think? Hearing Hua Yuan's question, Di Wenming thought for a moment, then said, since alchemists are a special group, the original intention of the Dan Alliance was to provide protection for all alchemists. Now, without a doubt, Tang Ao is a legendary alchemist who can promote the development of alchemy in the Flying Star continent. So, my opinion is that no matter what, we should go and save Tang Ao. Of course, what the head elder said is reasonable. The Dan Alliance also needs to develop, so we can split into 2 groups. Oh, continue. Hua Yuan knocked on the chair, then continued to ask, because right now, Hua Yuan's cultivation had broken through to the 3rd level of the origin realm. From Hua Yuan's point of view, Hua Yuan did not want to waste time to personally save Tang Ao. However, as one of the founders of the Dan Alliance, Hua Yuan naturally wanted to see the Dan Alliance grow stronger day by day. So if there's a need to save Tang Ao, Hua Yuan would immediately go. From the image in the crystal ball, Yang Miao and Han Yin both broke through to the 2nd level of the origin realm. Shueqin is also at the peak of the 1st level of the origin realm. I'm afraid that Alliance Master Lin and the Great Elder will need to personally make a trip. As for the Great Elder, he should take this opportunity to break through to a higher realm. Before, the Grand Elder also said that after reaching the 3rd level of the origin realm, it would be useless no matter how many 1st level origin realm martial artists there are. If Lu Chuanjia were to advance triumphantly and break through to the 4th level of the origin realm, the 5th level, or even higher, if so, the balance of the Flying Star continent would be completely broken. So, even though we have to save alchemist Tang Ao, if Lu Chuanjia truly breaks through to the 5th level of the origin realm and the Supreme Elder's cultivation doesn't keep up, there will be no one in the Flying Star continent who can stop Lu Chuanjia. After hearing what Di Wenming said, Wang Buluin hesitated for a moment, but ultimately did not speak. In Wang Buluin's opinion, there was nothing wrong with what Di Wenming said. But now, Wang Buluin really didn't want to waste time on Tang Ao. Moreover, Wang Buluin also couldn't understand why Yang Miao and the others would make life difficult for Tang Ao. Chapter 16:31. At this moment, Tang Ao was still fighting bitterly with Yang Miao and the other 2. Although Shuehin was getting closer and closer to him, Tang Ao still couldn't understand why Shuehin wanted to escape so much. One had to know that as long as he didn't die, the soul remembrance imprint he planted on Shuehin's soul would never disappear. Therefore, Tang Ao really didn't understand why Shuehin wanted to escape. Luckily, he finally understood and ran back. Otherwise, it really wouldn't be easy for Tang Ao to leave this place today. Of course, this was also because Tang Ao didn't know that Di Wenming and the others were already rushing over here. Otherwise, Tang Ao would have more confidence. However, even if he knew, Tang Ao still wouldn't be too optimistic, because right now, other than Yang Miao and the other 2 who were fighting with him, there were also many martial artists hidden in the surroundings. The reason why these people hadn't attacked yet was because they were waiting for an opportunity. Once he was heavily injured by Yang Miao and the other two, Tang Ao was sure that there would be countless people who would instantly attack him. Tang Ao laughed bitterly in his heart. Indeed, people were afraid of fame as pigs were afraid of being fat. He only revealed a bit of his pill concoction ability, but he ended up attracting so much trouble. Just as Tang Ao was laughing bitterly, a voice suddenly came from outside the crowd. "Brother Tang Ao, the monk is here." Tang Ao looked towards the direction of the voice and indeed saw Luo Mo. However, at this moment, how was Luo Mo still a butcher? He was completely dressed like a monk. Currently, Luo Mo was wearing a monk's robe. On his back was a crescent moon staff, and on his waist hung a vajra. After Luo Mo arrived, he didn't waste any words. He directly took out the crescent moon staff and angrily hacked at Xue Hen's back. Seeing Luo Mo be so straightforward, Tang Ao's face lit up. Now, the reason why Tang Ao was unable to escape, apart from the surrounding martial artists not wanting Tang Ao to leave, was that under the joint efforts of Yang Miao and the other two, Tang Ao really did not have any spare energy to escape. Now that he saw Rama attack Xue Qian, Tang Ao immediately shot the green lotus sword soul at Xue Qian, sealing off all his escape routes. Then, Tang Ao stabbed the moribone dagger at Xue Qian's heart. The moribone dagger suddenly flickered with an earthen yellow radiance, and a special wave of energy spread out from it. Xue Qian was not to be outdone. He directly grabbed at the moribone dagger. Just now, after Tang Ao summoned the moribone dagger, he did not use it immediately. Instead, he waited for an opportunity. Tang Ao knew that if he wanted to escape today, he would have to kill at least one of the Xue Qian trio. Among the three of them, Xue Qian's cultivation was the weakest. Therefore, it would be the easiest to kill him. However, although Xue Qian's cultivation was weak, it would not be easy for Tang Ao to kill him. But now, Tang Ao's opportunity had finally arrived. If it was just Luo Mo's sudden sneak attack, it would naturally be impossible to kill Xue Qian. However, with the help of Tang Ao's moribone dagger, Xue Qian was truly doomed. Chapter 1632. At this time, Xue can still think, and his essence could still circulate. Xue Qian could also feel that his essence would soon be able to break through this restraint, and he would be able to continue moving freely. However, no matter how fast it was, it still took time. But at this moment, he clearly did not have any time. Boom! After a loud sound, dust flew everywhere. This loud sound was naturally because Luo Mo's crescent staff had struck Xue Qian's body. After being petrified, the thick layer of scales on Xue Qian's body had become a decoration. Under Luo Mo's powerful attack, Xue Qian, who had been petrified, was shattered by Luo Mo before he could recover from the petrification. Luo Mo's eyes were filled with shock as he looked at Xue Qian, who had been smashed into pieces by him. Luo Mo's thoughts were the same as Tang Ao's. Among Yang Miao and the other two, Xue Qian was the weakest and the easiest to deal with. However, if he killed Xue Qian, he and Tang Ao would be in a 2-on-2 situation. Just now, when Tang Ao was fighting with Yang Miao and the other two, Tang Ao's battle prowess had already been seen. Therefore, Luo Mo knew that as long as he killed Xue Qian, Yang Miao and the other two would definitely not be Tang Ao's match. Furthermore, he would be helping from the side. Previously, Luo Mo had wanted to invite Tang Ao to explore an ancient ruin. In the end, after the alchemy conference ended, a series of things happened that Luo Mo did not expect. Fortunately, he had finally found Tang Ao again. Furthermore, what surprised Luo Mo even more was that the ancient ruin he had mentioned was actually not far from the Scarlet Wasteland. It could even be said that it was in the Scarlet Wasteland. However, Luo Mo had been here several times before. As this place was filled with poisonous fog all year round, Luo Mo really did not know what the Scarlet Wasteland was like. Indeed, after Tang Ao and Luo Mo joined forces to kill Xue Qian, Yang Miao and Han Yan's expressions changed. Previously, Tang Ao was already difficult enough to deal with. In the end, not only was he killed, but Tang Ao also had Luo Mo's help. At this time, it was undoubtedly a pipe dream for the two of them to want to capture Tang Ao. Tang Ao knew that although he had subdued Yang Miao Duo and the surrounding martial artists, it was only for a moment. Once they recovered, it would not be so easy for him to leave. Is there anything else? If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. At that moment, Tang Ao had already put away the Mora Bone Dagger Life Soul. Although the Mulla Bone Dagger Life Soul had unleashed its might and helped Tang Ao kill Bloodcan, the Mulla Bone Dagger Life Soul hadn't been able to kill Bloodcan. However, after the Mulla Bone Dagger Life Soul unleashed its might, it immediately collapsed. At that moment, in Tang Ao's Soul Sea, the Mulla Bone Dagger Life Soul was covered in cracks. Clearly, if Tang Ao used it again, the Mulla Bone Dagger Life Soul would shatter. Although Tang Ao could absorb the shattered life soul into his soul sea to slowly recover, Tang Ao's soul sea was in a shattered state, so the recovery speed of the life soul was extremely slow. Tang Ao's 100 Battle Spear Soul was first placed in his soul sea by Tang Ao to nourish it. But now, the 100 Battle Spear Soul was still in a shattered state. Therefore, although there were many life souls in Tang Ao's soul sea, other than the Battle Sagebone Life Soul and the Azure Lotus Sword Soul on the Emperor Jade platform, there were really no other life souls that could be used. Although the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul's recovery was not bad, the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul didn't have any combat strength. It was a buffer-type life soul. Chapter 1633. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the patriarch of the Duan family, Duan Chengyang. Although the Duan family is a new power, we are still listed as one of the 8 overlords of the Flying Star Continent. Of course, this is only an empty title, but the conditions of the Duan family are still very good. Is alchemist Tang Ao interested in joining the Duan family? Although the Duan family doesn't have as many Spirit Grass alchemy books as the Alchemy Alliance, the Duan family Spirit Grass resources are definitely for alchemist Tang Ao to use. Although the Alchemy Alliance is rich in resources, there are also many alchemists in the Alchemy Alliance. What do you think, alchemist Tang Ao? When Duan Qingyang appeared, 2 people followed behind him. These 2 people, including Duan Qingyang, were at the 2nd level of the Origin Realm. In the Flying Star Continent, this strength was quite good. From another perspective, if Tang Ao agreed, Duan Qingyang had the ability to bring Tang Ao away. If Tang Ao didn't agree, it would not be that easy to leave. I'm used to being lazy. Not long ago, I was invited by Alliance head Lin Ruchong to join the Alchemy Alliance. I don't have any thoughts of joining other powers. So, Tang Ao thanks Patriarch Duan's good intentions. Although the 3 people from the Duan family had decent strength, Tang Ao really didn't have any thoughts of joining the Duan family. Right now, Tang Ao only wanted to get some origin crystals and quickly break into the Origin Realm. Before the appearance of the Blood Wasteland, as long as Tang Ao broke into the 1st level of the Origin Realm, or even the 9th level of the Body Refinement Realm, Tang Ao wanted to leave the Hidden Dragon Cave and save Chu Shuahan from the Lu family's manor. But now, with the appearance of origin crystals, the cultivation of those martial artists also rapidly increased. Even Yang Miao could break into the 2nd level of the Origin Realm. Without even thinking, Tang Ao knew that the strength of the Lu family's manor must have increased by leaps and bounds. But even so, Tang Ao still wanted to save Chu Shuahan as soon as possible. After being separated from Chu Shuahan for so long, Tang Ao worried more and more about Chu Shuahan's safety. Because she could not cultivate, Chu Shuahan was just an ordinary person here. An ordinary woman with a beauty that could topple a city was really not safe in this place. Alchemist Tang Ao, are you really not going to reconsider? Duan Qingyang was not surprised by Tang Ao's answer. If it was so easy to invite Tang Ao, then Duan Qingyang would really feel strange. But today, Duan Qingyang truly had Tang Ao in his grasp. Although there were quite a few Origin Realm martial artists here, most of them were at the 1st level of the Origin Realm. Moreover, most of them were loose cultivators, and the rest were only martial artists from small powers. As for the 8 overlord forces that ruled the Phaeacian continent, the Dan Guild, the Golden Seeking Pavilion, and the 9-colored Deer Chamber of Commerce, none of them had arrived yet. So, in this place, only he, Duan Qingyang, had the strength to bring Tang Ao away. Even if others wanted to, they could not bring Tang Ao away. Uncle Duan, there's no need to be so overbearing. Following a string of light laughter that sounded like silver bells, a group of white-clothed fairies with fluttering clothes walked over. Although they wore veils, one could still feel that the group of women were definitely extremely beautiful. Although their faces could not be seen clearly, no matter if it was their figures or their bright eyes, they all attracted the attention of the surrounding martial artists. Chapter 1634. Though the Duan family's power had improved after so many years of development, compared to these old overlord powers, the Duan family's foundation was still lacking. Cloud Wan Fairy of Cloud Wan Palace was a special title. Every palace mistress of Cloud Wan Palace was called Cloud Wan Fairy. The white-clothed and masked woman in front of him was the current palace mistress of Cloud Wan Palace. Though she didn't look old, Duan Qingyang could feel that her cultivation was the same as his at the peak of the 2nd level of the Origin Realm. Not long after, breaking through to the 3rd level of the Origin Realm wouldn't be a problem. After Cloud Wan Fairy finished her conversation with Duan Qingyang, she also saluted Tang Ao. Yin Luan greets alchemist Tang Ao. Tang Ao naturally couldn't remain unmoved by a beauty salute. Though the occasion wasn't right, Tang Ao would never reject a beauty no matter what. Compared to Duan Qingyang, the middle-aged uncle, Cloud Wan Fairy attracted Tang Ao's attention more. What business does Cloud Wan Fairy have with me? Tang Ao knew that Cloud Wan Palace was one of the 8 overlords that ruled over the Flying Star Continent. However, Tang Ao had never interacted with Cloud Wan Palace before, so Tang Ao was a bit confused as to why Cloud Wan Fairy would appear at this time. Of course, though Cloud Wan Fairy and the 6 behind her were all young and beautiful women, Tang Ao didn't dare underestimate Cloud Wan Palace's strength. Thus, on Cloud Wan Palace's side, including Cloud Wan Fairy, there were 5 at the 2nd level of the Origin Realm. The remaining 2 were at the 1st level of the Origin Realm, and their presences were infinitely close to the 2nd level. It was obvious that they were about to break through. Tang Ao previously knew that Cloud Wan Palace was the weakest of the 8 overlord powers. But now, even the weakest Cloud Wan Palace had this kind of strength. Then how strong was the strongest Lu family manor on the Flying Star Continent? Tang Ao really couldn't imagine. Alchemist Tang Ao, Cloud Luan is willing to take you away from here today and will not ask Alchemist Tang Ao to join Cloud Wan Palace. However, Cloud Luan has a request. When Alchemist Tang Ao has the ability, you must refine a pill for Cloud Wan Palace. Of course, if Alchemist Tang Ao has any requests, you may raise them. Cloud Wan came to find Tang Ao just like Yang Miao, like Yang Miao. Like Yang Miao, Cloud Wan Fairy was much more gentle. If this Tang is unable to refine the pill that Fairy Yun Wan needs, then wouldn't this Tang disappoint Fairy Yun Wan's expectations? Luo, if Yun Wan Yun, Tang Tang. Yun Wan Long Yun Wan Fairy, Tang Wan Long has said. Yin Lord, Yin Yun Wan was, Wan and Wan Lord was, Cloud Wan Palace was different from Yang Miao. Yang Miao was only a wandering cultivator. If he needed some special pills, it wouldn't be easy to ask a high-ranking alchemist to refine them. However, Cloud Wan Palace was one of the 8 hegemonic powers of the Flying Star Continent. If they needed some special pills, it wouldn't be impossible to ask the Alchemy Guild's guildmaster, Lin Ruchang. Tang Ao's thoughts were correct. In reality, before Tang Ao, Cloud Wan Palace had asked Lin Ruchang and a few alchemists from the Alchemy Guild to try refining pills. However, without exception, even Lin Ruchang, hailed as the #1 alchemist on the Flying Star Continent, had failed when refining medicinal essences. As for the other renowned alchemists, Many of them couldn't even refine medicinal essences. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Yunwan Fairy could only laugh wryly. Before Tang Ao, even the Alchemy Guild's guildmaster, Lin Ruchong, had failed. Therefore, Yunwan didn't have high hopes for Tang Ao. However, this pill was far too important to her. That was why Yunwan had come to ask for Tang Ao Alchemy's help. Moreover, based on Tang Ao's performance at the Alchemy Conference, from a certain point of view, Tang Ao's ability to refine pills had already surpassed Lin Ruchong's. Therefore, Yunwan felt that a miracle might not actually happen to Tang Ao. Because of this, Yunwan had rushed over as soon as she heard news of Tang Ao. As long as alchemist Tang Ao agrees to help me refine this pill when he has the ability to. Of course, even if alchemist Tang Ao doesn't agree, Yunwan is willing to help alchemist Tang Ao leave this place today. Just treat it as making friends with alchemist Tang Ao. Yunwan didn't think that Tang Ao would still be so humble after his alchemy skills had reached such a high level. Previously, when she found those alchemists, many of them swore that there was no pill they couldn't refine. In the end, not a single alchemist, including Lin Ruchong, had ever heard of this pill. Chapter 1635. After a martial artist started cultivating, their energy would circulate through their meridians. Their blood would be abundant and their internal organs would be extremely healthy under the nourishment of their energy. Therefore, martial artists would not age easily and were extremely beautiful. Therefore, as long as it was a female cultivator, there would not be many that were ugly. Ever since Tang Ao started cultivating, he had seen countless beauties. However, when Tang Ao saw Yunwan Fairy, he had a special feeling. It was as if Yunwan Fairy had a special kind of charm that made people unable to move their eyes away. It made people want to kiss her, but they did not dare to profane her. When Tang Ao looked at Yunwan Fairy playfully winked at Tang Ao. Even though her face was covered by a veil, Tang Ao could still feel that underneath the veil was a beauty that could topple a city. Fairy Yunwan was a little hesitant after hearing Tang Ao ask what kind of elixir she wanted to refine. This was because the elixir she wanted to refine was too special. Even Lin Ruchong, who was known as the best alchemist in the Flying Star continent, had never heard of this kind of elixir. In addition, out of all the pill masters who had been invited to Cloud Luan Palace to refine pills, only Lin Ruchong could barely extract the essence of a single type of spiritual herb. The other pill masters couldn't even refine spiritual herbs, much less concoct pills. This pill is called the spirit pill. I wonder if pill refiner Tang Ao has heard of it? As Yunwan Fairy spoke, she paid attention to Tang Ao's expression. It was as if she wanted to find out something from Tang Ao's expression. What? Spirit pill? Tang Ao's relaxed expression changed to one of doubt. Of course, this was not because Tang Ao did not know what the spirit pill was. On the contrary, it was because Tang Ao knew about the spirit pill that Tang Ao was so surprised. This was because the spirit pill was not an ordinary pill. It was a Tier 1 immortal pill. It was because Tang Ao knew that the spirit pill was a Tier 1 immortal pill that Tang Ao was so surprised. Tang Ao could not imagine how Fairy Yunwan would know about the spirit pill. In addition, Tang Ao also knew the use of the spirit pill. It was to nourish the remnant soul. After some martial artists died, they would use secret techniques to preserve their remnant souls. At this time, as long as the martial artist's body was preserved well, and after obtaining a spirit pill, the martial artist's remnant soul would gradually fill up, allowing the fallen martial artist to revive. This was why Tang Ao was so surprised when he found out that Fairy Yunwan wanted to refine the spirit pill. However, Tang Ao wasn't sure if the spirit pill he knew and the spirit pill that Fairy Yunwan mentioned were the same kind of pill. Seeing the doubt on Tang Ao's face, Fairy Yunwan was somewhat disappointed. Because at this moment, the expression on Tang Ao's face was the same as Lin Ruchong's a year ago. A year ago, Lin Ruchong had produced 9 batches of 6-star supreme grade vitality enhancing pills consecutively, which had shocked the entire Flying Star continent. Since then, Lin Ruchong had been praised as the best alchemist on the Flying Star continent. Chapter 1636. The spirit pill that Fairy Yun Luan mentioned. Does it require the Purple Lake Grass's spirit pill? Just as Yun Luan was feeling disappointed, Tang Ao asked with uncertainty. This was because Tang Ao thought that the Flying Star continent might be a pill with the same name as the spirit pill. The spirit pill that Yun Luan mentioned might not necessarily be a grade 1 immortal pill, the spirit pill. When Yun Luan heard Tang Ao mention the first spiritual herb needed to refine the spirit pill, the purple lake grass, she immediately asked, Alchemist Tang Ao, do you know about the spirit pill? Yun Luan's happy expression made Tang Ao a little confused. Looking at Yun Luan's expression, it was obvious that the spirit pill that Yun Luan was talking about was the same as the spirit pill that he was thinking about. This surprised Tang Ao very much. The elixirs of the Flying Star continent were divided into 9 stars. Although the division was very detailed, according to the standard of the Black-Yellow continent, all the elixirs of the Flying Star continent were only second-grade elixirs. In other words, any grade 2 alchemist in the Black-Yellow continent would be the best alchemist here. However, the spirit pill was not something that the Flying Star continent should have. Or rather, the Flying Star continent should know about it. Does Fairy Yun Luan need this Tang's help to refine this pill? Is your relative sick? When it came to illness, Tang Ao was very vague. This was because the person who needed the spirit pill was already dead in the eyes of ordinary people. However, there were some people with strong cultivation who could seal their soul before they died. Therefore, as long as they had a physical body, these martial artists were in a state of suspended animation. As long as they had the spirit pill, these martial artists could be revived. This was why Tang Ao asked this question. After Tang Ao asked, Yun Luan nodded. Since Tang Ao said this, it was obvious that he knew what the spirit pill was used for. However, the crystal ball that her aunt left behind said that the only way to save her was to use the spirit pill. However, this was a low-level place. It was impossible for there to be an alchemist who could refine the spirit pill. Although Yun Luan didn't understand what a low-grade plane was, she had invited so many pill masters to concoct pills, but none of them had succeeded. Moreover, even a number 1 pill refiner in the Flying Star continent, Lin Ruchong, had failed. Yun Luan started to believe that no pill refiner in the Flying Star continent could refine the spirit pill. But now that Tang Ao had appeared, Yun Luan's heart was rekindled with hope. Yun Luan had always been curious about her past, and she had always been searching for it. However, Yun Luan realized that only her aunt, who was in a deep sleep, knew about her past. In her dreams, Yun Luan could always see some magnificent palaces and pictures, a kind middle-aged man and woman, and her aunt. These things did not seem to be evolved from dreams, but more like the pictures she saw when she was young. Perhaps she was too young at that time, so she could only remember these vague fragments. Moreover, the reason why she wholeheartedly wanted to find an alchemist who could refine the spirit pill was not only because she wanted to know about her past, but also because she felt that her aunt's soul was getting weaker and weaker. It was as if it could disappear at any time. Because of this, Yun Luan was very anxious. She did not hesitate to use all the resources of the Cloud Luan Palace to search for powerful alchemists all over the Flying Star continent. However, the results were very little. Now that Yun Luan had met Tang Ao, Yun Luan felt that there was hope. Since Tang Ao knew the spiritual herbs needed to refine the spirit pill, then Tang Ao had most likely come into contact with this pill before. Therefore, Yun Luan directly asked, Alchemist Tang Ao, can you refine the spirit pill? Chapter 1637. Therefore, Tang Ao shook his head and said, concocting the spirit pill requires a very strong soul remembrance to refine the medicinal liquid and condense the pill. My current soul remembrance isn't strong enough to concoct the spirit pill, but I might be able to try in the near future. Hearing Tang Ao say this, Yun Luan wasn't disappointed. Instead, she was looking forward to it. In the past, although pill refiners weren't able to successfully concoct the spirit pill, many pill refiners had come to the conclusion that concocting the spirit pill required a very strong soul remembrance. This soul remembrance strength was beyond their understanding. Therefore, Tang Ao hadn't seen the spirit pill's recipe yet, nor had he concocted the spirit pill. Yet, he was able to say such a thing. This meant that Tang Ao really knew about the spirit pill. This ignited Yun Luan's hope. In her limited memory, she was brought up by her aunt. However, her aunt seemed to have suffered a very heavy injury, which was why she was like this. "Thank you, Pill Master Tang Ao. Can I take you out of here now?" Although her aunt's soul remembrance was slowly fading, Tang Ao, being able to concoct the spirit pill, still gave her hope. However, Tang Ao wasn't as optimistic as Yun Luan. This was because in order to concoct the immortal pill, Tang Ao's soul had to be completely recovered. However, in order to completely recover Tang Ao's soul Tang Ao felt that it was impossible for his soul to be completely healed in the Flying Star continent. Moreover, if his soul couldn't be completely healed, it would still be a waste of materials to concoct the immortal pill. Moreover, although there were countless spirit herbs in Long Green Valley, Tang Ao didn't believe that Yun Luan Palace had many immortal spirit herbs to concoct the spirit pill. Although there was only a difference of one word, the difference between spirit herbs and immortal spirit herbs was like night and day. Therefore, while there were countless spirit herbs in Long Green Valley, there weren't many immortal spirit herbs in Long Green Valley. The reason why Tang Ao didn't say that there weren't any immortal spirit herbs in Long Green Valley was because Tang Ao knew that there were immortal spirit herbs in the depths of Long Green Valley. Moreover, the immortal herb in the depths of the Long Green Valley was no ordinary immortal herb. It was a healing saint-grade Kunlun flower. If Tang Ao could obtain the Kunlun flower, then Tang Ao might be able to recover his spiritual However, Tang Ao had seen that the Kunlun flower seemed to be protected by a powerful life and death realm demonic beast from Little Ling's soul remembrance. Given Tang Ao's current strength, even if Tang Ao had 100 lives, he wouldn't be able to touch the Kunlun flower. Fairy Yun Luan, you could just call me Tang Ao. Calling me Alchemist Tang Ao is too formal. Tang Ao's impression of Fairy Yun Luan was quite good. They both wanted him to help them refine pills, but Duan Xinyang's condition was to join the Duan clan. Fairy Yun Luan, on the other hand, only wanted him to help her refine a batch of spirit pills when he had the ability. If Tang Ao wanted to leave the Flying Star continent, he would need Bloodscar or Tang Ao's own cultivation to reach the astral reaching realm. Only then would he be able to break through the space barrier and leave this place. Therefore, if he wanted Bloodscar to recover his astral reaching realm cultivation, he would have to refine the 3-treasure blood lotus pellet for him. And if Tang Ao could refine the 3-treasure blood lotus pellet, then Tang Ao would naturally have no problem in refining the spirit pills. Therefore, the problem now was how to collect a huge amount of soul crystals to repair his soul Chapter 1638. I'll just call you Big Brother Tang Ao. Don't call me Fairy Yun Luan. Just call me Yun Luan. Yun Luan faintly smiled. Because many alchemists she had interacted with before had strange personalities, Yun Luan didn't think that Tang Ao, such a powerful alchemist, would be so kind and easy to get along with. Niece Yun Luan, Uncle Duan knows that you're eager for pills, so I want to ask Alchemist Tang Ao to concoct pills for you. However, Uncle Duan feels that your Cloud Wan Palace only has female disciples, so Alchemist Tang Ao is more suitable to join my Duan family. Of course, if you need Alchemist Tang Ao to concoct pills, you can come find Alchemist Tang Ao at any time. After receiving news of Tang Ao, Duan Xinyang immediately brought the experts of the Duan family and rushed over. He wanted to win Tang Ao over to the Duan family and have him work for the Duan family. Originally, everything was going according to Duan Xinyang's plan, but Duan Xinyang didn't think that at such a critical moment, the Cloud Wan Palace would interfere. If it was something else, perhaps Duan Xingyang would take a step back. However, at this critical moment, whichever power obtained Tang Ao would have the possibility of dominating the Flying Star continent in the future. So, no matter what, Duan Xingyang would not let go of the duck that was already in his mouth. Although there were only 3 Origin Realm martial artists on Duan Xingyang's side, including himself, Duan Xingyang did not think that the surrounding martial artists would remain indifferent when Tang Ao was taken away by Yun Luan. Not to mention anything else, just Yang Miao and Han Yin, who just fought with Tang Ao, clearly had thoughts about Tang Ao. This way, the 2 sides would be evenly matched. After all, on Yun Luan's side, there were only 5 at the 2nd level of the Origin Realm and 2 at the 1st level of the Origin Realm. Duan Xingyang already decided that in the chaotic battle, as long as there was a chance, he would take the initiative to capture Tang Ao. As for whether or not Tang Ao was willing to concoct pills for the Duan family, Duan Xingyang had his own methods. Patriarch Duan, you don't seem to understand my words. I said I have no interest in joining the Duan family. A moment ago, Duan Xingyang's words made Tang Ao somewhat angry. This Duan Xingyang seemed to have eaten him alive. It was as if he would not be able to leave this place if he did not agree to join the Duan clan. Even if Tang Ao didn't have Cloud Wan Palace's help, Bloodscar would still be here soon, let alone now that Tang Ao had Cloud Wan Palace's help. As long as Xue Hen got here, Tang Ao would disappear without a trace with Luan Yun Luan. Although these martial artists had surrounded him under the blood shadow evasion, they were just decorations. Whether it was the golden bowl in the sky or the lightning net hidden on the ground, in front of the blood shadow evasion, they were not even worth mentioning. Now, Tang Ao regretted letting Bloodscar impart the blood shadow evasion to him. In Tang Ao's current state, the blood shadow evasion was simply too useful to save his life. Now, Tang Ao was a bit regretful. He shouldn't have let Xue Hen teach him blood shadow escape. In Tang Ao's current state, blood shadow escape was too useful to save his life. Does Uncle Duan want to declare war on Yun Luan Palace? Although Yun Luan was usually gentle in speech, when it was time to be tough, Yun Luan wouldn't back down. Yun Luan also knew that the cultivators here all had different thoughts about Tang Ao, but Yun Luan really needed Tang Ao to help her concoct spirit pills. Therefore, Yun Luan could only take this risk with the Yun Luan Palace people. Chapter 1639. Niece Yun Luan, there's no need to use Cloud Wan Palace to suppress me. The Duan family and Cloud Wan Palace are both one of the 8 hegemonic powers of the Flying Star continent. Although the Duan family started later and can't compare to Cloud Wan Palace, I believe it's not that far off. Duan Xingyang no longer spoke as politely as before. The atmosphere became tense as the 2 conversed. Duan Xingyang was the head of the Duan family, while Fairy Yun Luan was the palace master of Cloud Wan Palace. After the soul crystals and essence crystals appeared in the bloody wastelands, there were already people who keenly sensed the flames of war. However, no one expected that the first conflict would occur between the newly ascended Duan family and the usually low-key Cloud Wan Palace. Family head Duan, the 2 of us need alchemist Tang Ao's help in refining a type of pill. If family head Duan agrees, the 2 of us are willing to lend family head Duan hand today. Seeing that Duan Xingyang was about to start a fight with Fairy Yun Luan, Yang Miao immediately cupped his fist towards Duan Xingyang. Now that Yang Miao had offended the Alchemy Alliance, if he still couldn't get Tang Ao to help him refine the adversity-surpassing pill, Yang Miao was about to vomit blood. Therefore, Yang Miao naturally wouldn't watch as Tang Ao was taken away by Cloud Wan Palace. If Tang Ao was taken away by Cloud Wan Palace, he really didn't have the guts to go to Cloud Wan Palace to find him. Therefore, Yang Miao could only organize for Tang Ao to be taken away by these major powers, while secretly looking for an opportunity to capture Tang Ao. Thank you, Brother Yang Miao and Fairy Han Yin, for your help. This Duan will remember it. With Yang Miao's words, Duan Chengyang heaved a sigh of relief. Otherwise, Duan Xingyang really didn't have the confidence to fight against the 7 people from Cloud Luan Palace and Tang Ao with just the 3 of them. Although Duan Xingyang felt that there were people around him who would take action, he didn't know when they would do so. Perhaps they would be happy to see him and Cloud Luan Palace fight to the death. At this time, Tang Ao didn't want to fight at all. Tang Ao's Yuan Qi had not been expended much in the previous battle, but Tang Ao's life souls had been shattered in 3. He just needed to stall until Bloodscar arrived. According to Tang Ao's estimation, Bloodscar would arrive here in an hour at most. But Duan Xingyang clearly had no intention of delaying for time. The surging energy around his body had already spread far away. The Cloud Wan Palace didn't back down either. A great battle was about to break out between the 2 sides. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the cultivators hidden in the shadows changed. Some of them walked out from the shadows and spoke a few words with Duan Xingyang, as if they had reached some kind of agreement. Some martial artists walked to the side, and no one knew what they were thinking. There were also some cultivators who remained expressionless in the dark. For some unknown reason, these people were not in a hurry to make a move. Not long after, quite 30 Origin Realm martial artists gathered there. That number already surpassed the records of the Origin Realm on the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Moreover, among the many warriors here, there were warriors on the Hidden Dragon list, as well as some extremely mysterious rogue cultivators. However, it was clear that they all had a common goal, and that was for Tang Ao. Chapter 1640. The battle of so many martial artists was not a joke. If one was too close, it was very possible to be accidentally injured. And if these normal body refinement realm martial artists were accidentally injured by Origin realm martial artists, their fates would be extremely miserable. It was not impossible for them to die on the spot. In an instant, the surroundings of the small pond gradually became empty. Other than the 30 or so martial artists around, the other people had already retreated far away. Within those martial artists, Tang Ao saw Li Shuanghuan's figure again. That guy really did not leave and was still hiding nearby. At that time, after the many martial artists appeared, Li Shuanghuan also followed and walked out. Also, Tang Ao noticed that this time, Li Shuanghuan was not alone. There were 3 other martial artists at the first level of the Origin Realm around Li Shuanghuan. Clearly, these people reached some sort of agreement and temporarily formed an alliance. Other than Li Shuanghuan, Tang Ao also saw a martial artist holding a golden bowl in his hand. Before, when Tang Ao wanted to run away, he was smashed by that golden bowl. After the martial artist holding the golden bowl saw Tang Ao look at him, he also smiled at Tang Ao. But what Tang Ao was thinking in his heart was that after the battle started, he would instantly take out the primordial sacred heaven bow and smash that guy's golden bowl. Because Tang Ao could see that the golden bowl was also a damaged immortal weapon. Tang Ao was truly a bit speechless. In a place like the Evergreen Valley, damaged immortal weapons were like cabbages. Almost everyone had one. As for the owner of the silver lightning net, Tang Ao did not see him. From what Tang Ao saw, that person was most likely worried that he would hold a grudge, so he did not take out the silver lightning net. As the martial artists appeared one after another, the camp at the scene was also divided into 5. Duan Xingyang and Yang Miao clearly had the most people. At that moment, after Duan Xingyang's betrayal, they already gathered 10 Origin Realm martial artists. That kind of strength was already very terrifying. If it was before, being able to gather 10 Origin Realm martial artists, other than the Liu family manor, the other 7 Overlord-level powers could be easily annihilated. But along with the appearance of Origin crystals, Origin Realm martial artists weren't that valuable anymore. It could be said that before, as long as it was a martial artist in the 9th level of the body refinement realm, after using Origin crystals to cultivate, their cultivation would all reach the 1st level of the Origin realm. The martial artists who were at the 1st level of the Origin realm all broke through to the 2nd level of the Origin realm. Martial artists like Lu Chuanjia and Hua Yuan, who had deep foundations, were advancing towards an even higher level. On Duan Xingyang's side, there were 10 Origin Realm cultivators gathered. On the Cloud Wand Palace's side, there were also quite a few. Other than the 7 people from the Cloud Wand Palace, there were also Tang Ao and Luo Mo. Even though Tang Ao didn't know why this monk was looking for him, Tang Ao felt that this Rama was pretty good. If not for Rama's help, Tang Ao would not have been able to kill Shui Kan. If Shui Kan hadn't been killed, Duan Xingyang's side would have been even stronger. Following that, the remaining martial artists gathered in groups of 3 or 4. Clearly, they had no intention of currying favor with Duan Xingyang, nor did they plan on helping the Cloud Wand Palace. The appearance of origin crystals signified the change of era on the Flying Star continent. In the future, even stronger martial artists and even stronger powers would appear to dominate this continent. Chapter 1641. Only when one reached the 9th level of the body refinement realm, or even the 1st level of the origin realm, could the effects of origin crystal cultivation be shown. At that stage, origin crystals' true use could be displayed. If one wanted to quickly develop their own faction's origin realm martial artists, the best method was to create large amounts of top-quality origin cultivation pills, then use the pill transformation pond to allow their own faction's experts to advance by leaps and bounds and become origin realm martial artists. Although that kind of cultivation method was a bit like spoiling the seedlings to help them grow, it was undoubtedly a chance for their faction to rise up. If they missed that chance, if they wanted to rise up again, they could only be like the Duan family back then. After thousands of years, countless people's hard work, and the Murong family's fall, they barely replaced the Murong family and squeezed into one of the 8 overlord factions. However, right now, they didn't need the hard work of their ancestors for thousands of years. As long as they gathered large amounts of origin crystals and soul crystals in the Blood Wasteland, as long as they roped some strong alchemists into their faction, or used all sorts of methods to control some alchemists, then they could very possibly rise up in this chance. Also because of that, even though they knew that Tang Ao was the 7th elder of the Dan Alliance, there were still so many people who wanted to attack Tang Ao and control Tang Ao. One had to know that what they were doing right now was extremely dangerous. If they didn't rise up in this chance, and the Dan Alliance didn't fall in the cultivation tide, then when everything calmed down, they would have to bear the wrath of the Dan Alliance. Then, when everything calmed down, they would have to bear the wrath of the Dan Alliance. The situation that everyone knew was that the Grand Elder of the Dan Alliance, Hua Yuan, had already cultivated to the 3rd level of the Origin Realm. After using origin crystals to cultivate, although their cultivation speed wasn't slow, they were clearly still a distance away from the 3rd level of the Origin Realm. Also, as the entire Flying Star continent poured in, origin crystals weren't as easy to get as before. Right now, the low-level black fog monsters were basically all killed by the martial artists. The remaining strong black fog monsters weren't something normal people could deal with. In the Blood Wasteland, other than the black fog monsters, the purple conch mosquitoes, gold-eating bugs, and skeletons were also very fatal. So, even if the martial artists wanted origin crystals, they couldn't get them just because they wanted to. Apart from the first batch of martial artists who entered the Scarlet Wasteland and obtained quite a number of Yuan crystals, many of the later martial artists didn't even know what Yuan crystals looked like. Although the Scarlet Wasteland was dangerous, it was also rich in resources. Apart from the most precious origin crystals and soul crystals, the diamond gravel within the gold-devouring beetles was also a good thing. Moreover, there were many spirit grasses and ores in the Scarlet Wasteland. These were rare cultivation resources for many warriors. Although the Flying Star continent was vast, it was not easy to find so many cultivation resources. Although many martial artists were unable to find essence crystals or soul crystals in the Scarlet Wasteland, they discovered the Yuan stream that Zhao Tao had mentioned earlier. Furthermore, Yuanshi was not the only place Zhao Tao mentioned. At this moment, the cultivators in the Scarlet Wasteland had already discovered Yuanshi in many places. At this moment, the Scarlet Wasteland had become the best training ground on the Flying Star continent. Chapter 1642. Although Tang Ao had not ventured deep into the Scarlet Wasteland, Tang Ao could tell from the skeletons of the ferocious beast that there were stronger monsters in the depths of the Scarlet Wasteland. It was also possible that there were better treasures there. After all, Tang Ao and Xue Hen had discovered a heaven-defying natural treasure like the Three Treasures Blood Lotus. Therefore, Tang Ao felt that he would not be disappointed if he could explore it. However, given Tang Ao's current cultivation level, he could handle the periphery with ease. If he ventured deeper, he might really die. I saw that Alchemy Master Tang Ao's combat power is not bad. I, Wang Dachui, would like to exchange a few moves with Alchemy Master Tang Ao. Tang Ao seemed to be pulled back by a rough voice. The person who spoke was a middle-aged martial artist who was holding two large copper hammers. This martial artist's body was full of powerful muscles. The veins on his arms were bulging, and his eyes looked like they were about to spit fire. Who do you think you are? Do you think that you can challenge my brother Tang Ao just because you want to? I will exchange a few moves with you first. Perhaps Rama felt that Tang Ao must have consumed a lot of energy from the previous fierce battles, so he rushed forward with the Crescent Moon Monk staff. Tang Ao was secretly impressed. This monk had good foresight. He knew that Tang Ao had a bright future and came to befriend him. Moreover, Tang Ao had a good impression of this fat monk. If it were not for his help, Tang Ao would not have been able to kill Xue Hen. Back on the alchemy platform, this monk had also helped Tang Ao. If it were not for his help, Tang Ao would not have been able to kill Xue Hen. Tang Ao vaguely knew that Rama was looking for him because he wanted to go to some ancient ruins. Tang Ao knew that the ancient ruins in Evergreen Valley were extraordinary. Therefore, after Tang Ao was done with his business, he could go to the ancient ruins with Rama to take a look. The moment Rama and Wang Dachui started fighting, three beams of light shot towards Tang Ao from different directions. At the same time, the warriors on the field also moved. At this moment, everyone was attacking the warriors of different camps. Tang Ao also made a move. Tang Ao's target was Yang Miao. Tang Ao really didn't understand. He didn't have any deep hatred with this Yang Miao, but Yang Miao wanted to harm him time and time again. If Tang Ao could still tolerate such a situation, then Tang Ao would not have been the unparalleled devil lord who looked down on the world with disdain in his previous life. Previously, even when Yang Miao and the other two joined hands, they were still unable to suppress Tang Ao. Now that they were in a chaotic battle, who would care about Yang Miao? Therefore, a green light flashed beside Tang Ao, and the green lotus sword soul was instantly summoned by Tang Ao. Although Tang Ao's soul C was shattered and all his life souls were extremely weak, Tang Ao's soul C was shattered. However, the green lotus sword soul was indeed worthy of being recognized by the Emperor Jade platform. Even under such circumstances, the green lotus sword soul still had a certain level of combat strength. Of course, what made Tang Ao feel a little awkward was that among the life souls he could use, he only had the green lotus sword soul and the battle sagebone life soul left. Just as Yang Miao was thinking about who to attack, a very familiar green sword aura appeared. Seeing this green sword aura, Yang Miao's expression immediately changed drastically. This was the third time he had seen such a green sword aura. A few days ago, the first time he saw such a green sword aura was on the alchemy platform. At that time, even if he took a hit from Tang Ao's green lotus sword aura, he wasn't injured at all. At that time, Tang Ao didn't even have any room to defend against him. But when he saw Tang Ao for the second time, Tang Ao could already rely on endless means to deal with him. In the end, under his and Han Yan's combined forces, Tang Ao, who was only at the 8th level of the body refining realm, still escaped. Chapter 1643. Hence, when Yang Miao saw Tang Ao charging toward him right now, Yang Miao was even somewhat timid. An origin martial realm, 2nd level martial artist, being afraid of a body refining realm 9th level martial artist. It could be said to be a gargantuan joke. But Yang Miao felt that not only was this joke not funny at all, He even had a bit of bleak feeling. Yang Miao felt that fate was very unfair. He experienced untold hardships and experienced countless life and death struggles before he had today's cultivation. But now, facing a mere body refining realm 9th level martial artist like Tang Ao, he actually somewhat could not handle it and actually had the feeling of fear. Although there was fear in his heart, Yang Miao still did not shrink back. Yang Miao did not believe that a mere body refining realm 9th level martial artist could be so heaven-defying. Yang Miao felt that Tang Ao must have used some undetectable secret art just now to be able to fight fiercely with the three of them. But now, no matter how powerful Tang Ao's strength was, the essence energy in his body should have been pretty much expended. Thinking like this, Yang Miao also no longer restrained himself. A palm smashed Tang Ao's green lotus sword chi to pieces. Immediately, a tyrannical palm print that could cleave metal and break jade imprinted over from Tang Ao's chest. After exchanging blows with Yang Miao so many times, Tang Ao discovered that Yang Miao seemed to be more proficient in palm arts. Logically speaking, such a martial artist was extremely hard to deal with. But unfortunately, the agile Tang Ao was the nemesis of martial artists like Yang Miao just now. Hence, when Yang Miao's palm rumbled over, Tang Ao abruptly controlled his figure and retreated backwards, avoiding Yang Miao's attack. At the same time, Tang Ao flicked his sleeves. The green lotus sword soul spun in the air and turned from a green lotus into 7 sharp swords flickering with cold light. Although Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul looked powerful, Yang Miao did not care too much either. With the previous battle experience, Yang Miao similarly knew that Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul looked to be exuding killing intent, but in reality, it was not that powerful. Before, after the blood mutilation mutation, he could even use his scales to resist the attacks of the green lotus sword soul. It was not hard to see that as long as he had some treasures on him, he could even ignore the attacks of Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul. As for Yang Miao, who knows how many treasures he had plundered over the years. He also had a protective treasure on him. But right now, Yang Miao really didn't want to use this treasure. This was an armor talisman that could only be used for the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Back then, Yang Miao had obtained 2 of these talismans. He used a talisman to block Hua Yuan's palm strike. Back then, when Yang Miao found out about the Crossing Adversity Dan and captured many alchemists, but were unable to refine it, Yang Miao also decided to take the risk and go to the Dan Alliance's treasury to see if there were any Crossing Adversity Dan-s. In the end, although Yang Miao did not find any Crossing Adversity Dan-s in the Dan Alliance's treasury, he still obtained a lot of precious pills. It was just that because the martial warriors guarding the treasure vault was killed by Yang Miao, the blood energy that was released was noticed by Hua Yuan, who was in charge of the Dan Alliance headquarters. Therefore, Hua Yuan and Yang Miao fought in the Dan Alliance. In less than 3 rounds, Yang Miao was severely injured by Hua Yuan. In the nick of time, Yang Miao used the armor talisman to block Hua Yuan's palm. And this armor talisman was also an incredible treasure. After blocking Hua Yuan's palm, it even injured Hua Yuan and the experts of the Dan Alliance. It was also because of this that Yang Miao was a little hesitant at this time, whether or not he should use the armor talisman to deal with Tang Ao. Without thinking for too long, Yang Miao took out a golden talisman from his storage ring and patted it on his body. Seeing the talisman that Yang Miao patted on his body and the special fluctuation in the talisman, Tang Ao's eyes narrowed. If it was someone else, they might not be able to recognize what the talisman that Yang Miao had just taken out was. But Tang Ao was very clear about talismans. According to Tang Ao's master, Yun Xiaoyao, the inscription array that the talisman used was a special use of the array. Chapter 1644. Tang Ao saw that after Yang Miao slapped the talisman on his body, ancient and profound golden runes appeared around Yang Miao. Even Tang Ao had never seen those ancient runes before. Although he had never seen them before, Tang Ao did not dare to look down on those runes. One had to know that Yang Miao was using a Grade 1 Immortal Talisman. Luckily, the Grade 1 Immortal Talisman was a defensive type and not an offensive type talisman. Thinking to there, Tang Ao was secretly shocked in his heart. Even a defensive Grade 1 Immortal Talisman appeared in the Evergreen Valley. Who could guarantee that there was no offensive type talisman in the Evergreen Valley? Tang Ao felt that even if a third-level Origin Realm martial artist attacked him, he would still have the chance to hide in the Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror. However, if a martial artist used a Grade 1 Immortal Talisman to kill him, Tang Ao felt that he wouldn't even have a chance to hide in the Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror. Compared to other martial artists, Tang Ao had a better understanding of the power of a Grade 1 Immortal Talisman. According to the inherited memories of Emperor Ming and the other Muddy Sky Realm experts, Tang Ao knew that in some high-level planes, there were even martial artists who specialized in studying immortal talismans. These martial artists were called Immortal Talisman Masters. Not only could they inscribe immortal talismans, they could also use immortal talismans to fight. In Emperor Ming's memory fragments, Tang Ao had seen the power of immortal talismans many times. So, when he saw Yang Miao take out an immortal talisman, Tang Ao was also very afraid. However, when Tang Ao saw that Yang Miao also had a pained expression on his face after taking out the immortal talisman, Tang Ao thought that Yang Miao probably didn't have a talisman like that. Otherwise, if Yang Miao really had an offensive-type immortal talisman, Yang Miao would have used it to injure him and then restrain him. Thinking to there, Tang Ao heaved a sigh of relief. Although defensive-type immortal talismans might have outstanding defensive abilities, it was not completely impossible to deal with them. Tang Ao had never come into contact with immortal talismans before. Now that Yang Miao had used a defensive immortal talisman, Tang Ao could also test the power of the immortal talisman. Go! Tang Ao pointed out with a sword finger, and a majestic wave of essence energy surged out from Tang Ao's body. Under this powerful Yuan Qi, the Green Lotus Sword Soul let out a series of crisp sword cries. With a thought from Tang Ao, the Green Lotus Sword Soul turned into a sword screen and pierced towards Yang Miao. But this time, Yang Miao was clearly very confident. Facing Tang Ao's Green Lotus Sword Soul, he did not dodge at all, allowing Tang Ao's Green Lotus Sword Soul to slash his body. But this time, Tang Ao's Green Lotus Sword Soul was unable to pierce Yang Miao's body. Around Yang Miao's body, there was a faint golden shield. There were many ancient and mysterious runes circulating on the shield. These runes looked like inscription arrays. But even a 6th grade formation master like Tang Ao could not understand the mysteries of these inscription arrays. The moment the Green Lotus Sword Soul pierced the shield, Tang Ao had a strange feeling. When the extremely sharp Green Lotus Sword Qi encountered this strange shield, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. It only caused ripples on the shield and did not cause any damage to Yang Miao. At this moment, Tang Ao's expression suddenly changed, and he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 1645. One had to know that just now, Tang Ao had only used a normal method and didn't use a powerful martial technique like the 7-killing Divine Way. But even so, Tang Ao was still injured by the backlash. Tang Ao thought to himself that if he had impulsively used the 7-killing Divine Way to attack Yang Miao, would he have been killed by the backlash? With this lesson, Tang Ao understood that he had to remain vigilant at all times. Especially towards these things that he didn't understand, he had to be even more cautious. Previously, when Yang Miao and Tang Ao were fighting, Tang Ao even had the thought of using the primordial sacred sky bow to kill Yang Miao. Now, Tang Ao was still afraid. If he had really done that, Yang Miao would most likely have used this immortal talisman. This way, even if he could kill Yang Miao, he would most likely have died from the backlash. After discovering the power of Yang Miao's immortal talisman, Tang Ao didn't take the initiative to attack Yang Miao. Tang Ao waved his hand, and the green lotus sword soul once again became 7 green lotus swords floating behind Tang Ao. Tang Ao's fight was also noticed by many martial artists. Or it could be said that even though everyone was fighting, most of their attention was on Tang Ao. After all, their true goal wasn't to fight here, but to find an opportunity to restrain Tang Ao. As long as they could instantly heavily injure Tang Ao and plant a soul remembrance imprint on Tang Ao's soul, then taking away Tang Ao wouldn't be a problem. Soul remembrance imprint was a very special method. Normally, a martial artist's soul could only be imprinted once. So, as long as someone first imprinted a soul imprint on Tang Ao's soul, then he would have succeeded half the time. Although the cultivation of these martial artists was higher than Tang Ao, none of them could instantly injure Tang Ao and plant a soul brand on Tang Ao's soul. Although Li Jinhuan was entangled with a Cloud Luan Palace cultivator, her attention was completely focused on Tang Ao. Unlike others, although Li Jinhuan couldn't instantly brand Tang Ao's soul with a soul imprint, she could still capture Tang Ao after Tang Ao was seriously injured. In his early years, Li Jinhuan had obtained 2 treasures from an ancient ruin in Evergreen Valley. One of them was the 2 golden hoops on his right hand, and the other was a somewhat shabby bag hanging on his waist. Although the bag didn't look fake, Li Jinhuan knew that it was very powerful. This was because this bag could suck a cultivator into it. After sucking a cultivator into the bag, Li Jinhuan could refine and control the cultivator. Right now, Li Jinhuan wanted to suck Tang Ao into the bag. However, it wasn't easy to put a cultivator into the bag. The cultivator had to not resist at all, or be in an extremely weak state with little resistance. It was impossible to make Tang Ao not resist at all. Since it was like this, she could only wait for Tang Ao to be heavily injured. In Li Jinhuan's opinion, in a one-on-one situation, the only person who could heavily injure Tang Ao was Duan Qingyang, that old fox. Chapter 1646. As for the reason why Duan Qingyang stopped Yun Luan, it was because Yun Luan had the same cultivation as him. If he didn't come out to stop Yun Luan, many martial artists here would have died by Yun Luan's hands. After Yun Luan finished off those martial artists, naturally, she could leave with Tang Ao. On Tang Ao's side, at that moment, the situation between Tang Ao and Yang Miao was completely reversed. Before, Tang Ao chased after Yang Miao and fought, but now, it was Yang Miao chasing Tang Ao everywhere. Behind Tang Ao, Yang Miao's powerful and overbearing palms kept on bombarding over. Those palms were dissolved by Tang Ao, and he dodged them all. During that time, Yang Miao completely gave up on defense. He only wanted to heavily injure Tang Ao while the immortal talisman was still effective. But clearly, Tang Ao saw the flaw of the immortal talisman. Tang Ao felt that the so-called immortal talisman used inscription formations to seal the powerful immortal spirit power in the talisman. Since it was like that, there would be a time when the immortal spirit power would be exhausted. So, right now, Tang Ao did not want to fight Yang Miao head-on. Tang Ao did not believe that Yang Miao's immortal talisman could last for long. In reality, Tang Ao's judgment was completely correct. Before, Yang Miao used that immortal talisman before. So, Yang Miao knew that the immortal talisman could only be used for the time of an incense stick. After the time of an incense stick, the immortal talisman would be completely ineffective. So right now, Tang Ao did not want to fight with him at all. He only blindly dodged and ran. Yang Miao felt rather depressed in his heart. Luckily, Han Yin finally finished off her opponent because Han Yin was already at the 2nd level of the Origin Realm. The one fighting Han Yin was only a martial artist who just broke through to the 1st level of the Origin Realm. That made him overestimate himself and find Han Yin, who was at the 2nd level of the Origin Realm. After his 6 life spirits were shattered by Han Yan's dual feather swords, Han Yin finally slashed across the martial artist's throat and cut his throat with one slash. After killing her opponent, Han Yin immediately came to support Yang Miao. Although she saw Yang Miao chasing and fighting Tang Ao, Han Yin did not ask much. At this time, capturing Tang Ao was the most important. Otherwise, if they did not hesitate to offend the Dan Alliance to death, but did not manage to catch Tang Ao in the end, it would be a huge loss. Seeing Yang Miao and Han Yin join hands to deal with Tang Ao, no one interfered. Although at this moment all the cultivators, including Duan, Qingyang, and Yunwan, were closely watching Tang Ao, as long as Tang Ao's life was not in danger, no one would interfere. Their goal was to plant a soul imprint on Tang Ao's soul. If Han Yin and Yang Miao could heavily injure Tang Ao, everyone would be happy to see it. As for Yunwan, although she wouldn't use such a method, she still hoped that Tang Ao would be injured. If she rescued Tang Ao after Tang Ao was injured, then Tang Ao would owe her a favor. That way, as long as Tang Ao had the ability to concoct spirit pills, then Tang Ao would definitely concoct a cauldron of spirit pills for her. But even with Han Yin's addition, it would not be easy for Yang Miao to heavily injure Tang Ao, because under the double encirclement of Yang Miao and Han Yin, Tang Ao was still fleeing in all directions in the crowd. Towards Yang Miao, Tang Ao was unparalleled. When he met Han Yin, Tang Ao only made a few feints and did not bother with Han Yin. Chapter 1647. At the same time, Tang Ao was a little surprised that someone could keep up with Bloodscar's speed. It had to be known that Bloodscar had mastered many Blood Chi's secret techniques. When these Blood Chi's secret techniques were used, even Tang Ao at his peak might not be able to catch up to Bloodscar's figure. But now, the person who was chasing Bloodscar was clearly chasing him. Otherwise, Bloodscar wouldn't have such an expression. Although Tang Ao knew that the person chasing Bloodscar was most likely a powerful person, Tang Ao wasn't afraid at all. When he met up with Bloodscar, the two of them could use the Blood Shadow escape to leave this place. The reason Bloodscar hadn't used the Blood Shadow escape was because his Blood Chi wasn't strong enough. The last time Bloodscar had used the Blood Shadow escape, Tang Ao's 8-stage body refining realm cultivation had consumed 99% of his essence blood. Now, Bloodscar was only at the 6-stage body refining realm. Even if he was drained dry, he wouldn't be able to use a secret technique like the Blood Shadow escape. Just as Tang Ao was wondering what Bloodscar was being chased by, Tang Ao's expression suddenly changed. This was because Tang Ao felt a blurry figure approaching him. Immediately, Tang Ao's skypole eyes activated. Tang Ao was surprised to see that the figure approaching him was a short martial artist. Moreover, Tang Ao knew this martial artist. It was Qi Lang, who had tried to poison him previously. However, Qi Lang's body was wrapped in a special life soul. This life soul completely isolated Qi Lang's aura, making it impossible to detect Qi Lang with a naked eye or psyche. If Tang Ao didn't have the skypole eyes, he might have already fallen for it. If he hadn't discovered Qi Lang, then Qi Lang might have already approached him and attacked him. But now that he had discovered Qi Lang naturally didn't have a chance. In Tang Ao's eyes, Qi Lang's actions were rather comical. Although he had discovered him, Tang Ao didn't immediately point it out. Instead, the moment the dagger in Qi Lang's hand stabbed at him, Tang Ao suddenly turned around, and at the same time, a powerful whip kick with a sonic boom was thrown at Qi Lang's face. Tang Ao's kick directly caused Qi Lang's head to buzz. If it wasn't for his head being made of iron, Tang Ao's kick would probably have blown his head off. After receiving Tang Ao's sudden kick, Qi Lang's life soul instantly vanished. Then, Qi Lang's figure appeared in front of everyone. Seeing that Qi Lang, who was merely at the 8th level of the body refining realm, dared to find trouble with Tang Ao, everyone's eyes flashed with disdain. Tang Ao had some respect for Qi Lang. Although Qi Lang wanted to kill him, Qi Lang was truly professional. As the saying goes, if you take someone's money, you have to eliminate a calamity. Tang Ao had to admit that Wang Kuan had found the right person to kill him. However, Qi Lang no longer had any thoughts of killing Tang Ao. His life soul that could conceal his aura was very special. This life soul could only be used once a month and had great limitations. Although the limitations were great, Qi Lang was very satisfied with this life soul. In his past assassination missions, this life soul could be said to have been successful. But now, Qi Lang was truly frightened out of his wits by Tang Ao. Up to now, Qi Lang still didn't understand how Tang Ao had discovered him. Furthermore, the left side of Qi Lang's face was swollen like a bun. Tang Ao's fierce kick had hit his left cheek. Chapter 1648. Even so, Yang Miao still did not give up. Yang Miao knew that if the Alchemy Alliance still didn't give up on Tang Ao right now, the Alchemy Alliance's experts might already be halfway there. Yang Miao was clear in his heart that if he still couldn't capture Tang Ao this time, then he might not have another chance in the future. Thinking to there, Yang Miao was also a bit hesitant. But without hesitating for long, Yang Miao still took out a jet black medicinal pill. That medicinal pill was entirely jet black and also had a pungent bloody smell. Tang Ao naturally also saw the medicinal pill in Yang Miao's hand at the first instant. After seeing that medicinal pill, Tang Ao was slightly shocked in his heart. Tang Ao really didn't understand why this place even had such a forbidden medicinal pill. Even Yang Miao himself didn't know what medicinal pill it was. He only knew that the medicinal pill's effect was not ordinary. But Tang Ao knew that the medicinal pill in Yang Miao's hand right now was called Burning Longevity Pill. As the name implied, the so-called Burning Longevity Pill was a medicinal pill that burned lifespan. Martial artists' lifespan seemed long, but in reality, it had an end too. If it was only ordinary body refinement realm martial artists, they normally had 300 to 500 years of lifespan. An origin realm martial artist's lifespan was a bit longer. Normally, they could reach as long as 1,000 years. But in other continents, origin realm martial artists that could live that long were very rare. Because the body's hidden injuries endlessly accumulated, lifespan would also decrease accordingly. In addition to the endless battles between martial artists, there was the possibility of dying at any time. What was very special about the Burning Longevity Pill was that no matter how much lifespan the martial artist still had, they would directly burn half and transform it into temporary power. In the enemies that Tang Ao fought in his previous life, there were quite a few martial artists who used this Burning Longevity Pill. In order to avoid trouble, Tang Ao decisively killed those people. But right now, under the protection of the Immortal Talisman, Tang Ao clearly did not have the ability to kill Yang Miao. It was also because of that Tang Ao secretly furrowed his brows. Right now, with Yang Miao and Han Yin joining hands, he could still handle it with ease. But after Yang Miao used this medicinal pill, Tang Ao could not guarantee that he could still deal with it calmly. However, Yang Miao seemed to have made up his mind to awaken. Even though he knew that the burning life pill would harm him greatly, Yang Miao still consumed it. The moment Yang Miao consumed the burning life pill, Yang Miao's skin turned blood red, and his expression became extremely pained. This scene was similarly noticed by quite a few martial artists. It was just that everyone still did not know what happened to Yang Miao's body. After seeing Yang Miao's appearance, the surrounding cultivators cautiously distanced themselves from him. Even Han Yin subconsciously retreated. After consuming the Burning Longevity Pill, Yang Miao's eyes also started to bleed. His eyes were completely red. At this moment, Yang Miao's hair instantly turned white, like an old man with one foot in the grave. At the same time, the aura on Yang Miao's body kept on rising. Soon, Yang Miao broke from the second level of the Origin Realm to the third level of the Origin Realm. Also, after reaching the third level of the Origin Realm, Yang Miao's cultivation similarly did not have any signs of stopping. But even though Yang Miao only consumed a fragment of the Crossing Adversity Pill, a portion of his body's potential was also dug out by the Crossing Adversity Pill. At that moment, Yang Miao was insanely absorbing the surrounding essence. Under the gazes of the crowd, the surging essence around Yang Miao even formed a whirlpool of essence and crazily poured into Yang Miao's body. Chapter 1649. Because at that moment, Yang Miao's cultivation was completely gone. After all, he was at the 5th level of the origin realm. Although the crowd didn't understand what happened to Yang Miao, they all had shocked expressions. One had to know that the current number 1 martial artist in the Flying Star continent, Lu Chuanjia, only had the cultivation of the 3rd level of the origin realm. But at that moment, Yang Miao already reached the origin realm. Although they didn't know what methods Yang Miao used and what price he paid, many martial artists still looked at Yang Miao with incomparable fanaticism. But many martial artists still looked at Yang Miao with incomparably fanatical gazes. The cultivation of the 5th level of the origin realm. Even now, many martial artists didn't even dare to think about it. Also, just at that moment, Yang Miao, whose aura was still rising, suddenly howled towards the sky. Shortly after, he suddenly leapt up from where he stood and grabbed towards the nearest martial artist. That was one of the martial artists who followed Duan Qingyang. Seeing Yang Miao jump towards him, that martial artist was taken aback. But as expected of an elite martial artist of the Duan family, after being slightly taken aback, he instantly summoned his own fate spirit. That martial artist's fate spirit made Tang Ao slightly surprised because the fate spirit he summoned was the 100 Battle Spear Soul. But after Tang Ao's 100 Battle Spear Soul kept on leveling up, there was already a huge change. But the 100 Battle Spear Soul in a martial artist's hand was the original form of the 100 Battle Spear Soul. After summoning the 100 Battle Spear Soul, the spear in Zhao Yang's hand trembled, and he explosively stabbed towards Yang Miao. But just like Tang Ao before, even though Zhao Yang was the number 1 expert of the Duan family with another surname, he still suffered from the immortal talisman. When Zhao Yang's 100 Battle Spear Soul stabbed the armor talisman on the surface of Yang Miao's body, Zhao Yang immediately suffered from the backlash. At the same time, Yang Miao's hand grabbed Zhao Yang's left hand. After feeling the terrifying power in Yang Miao's hand, Zhao Yang's face changed greatly. After being grabbed by Yang Miao, he couldn't retreat even if he wanted to, but Zhao Yang clearly experienced countless life and death battles. At that time, Zhao Yang's face also became fierce. Shortly after, Tang Ao saw a flash of light on Zhao Yang's right hand. Then Zhao Yang's right hand suddenly chopped his left arm. With that chop, Zhao Yang's left arm was cut off at the base, and the blood that gushed out also splashed onto Yang Miao's face. After chopping off his left arm, Zhao Yang decisively retreated. And after Zhao Yang retreated, Yang Miao's target became the martial artist behind Zhao Yang just now. This martial artist was so shocked by the scene of Zhao Yang's severed arm that he was caught by Yang Miao before he could regain his senses. Without giving him any chance to react, everyone watched in shock as Yang Miao roared furiously. Immediately after, the cultivator caught by him revealed a horrified gaze. But that was also his final gaze. With a Puqi, the 2nd level of the origin realm was torn in half by Yang Miao. Blood splattered everywhere as the martial artist's body fell to the ground like a broken sack. After seeing this scene, the surrounding cultivators secretly admired Zhao Yang's decisiveness. If Zhao Yang had hesitated for even a moment, then the cultivator who would have been torn in half would have been Zhao Yang. Tang Ao realized that Yang Miao seemed to have lost his mind. The people around him had become his targets. Clearly, Yang Miao had no way of enduring the effect of the Burning Life pill. The Burning Life pill directly made him lose his mind. Although Yang Miao's cultivation broke through to the 5th level of the origin realm, since Yang Miao lost his mind, it was easy to deal with. But clearly, Tang Ao was happy too early because just at that time, the aura on Yang Miao's body slowly calmed down. Chapter 1650. At that instant, Yang Miao's voice was like a ghost. Combining with his insane expression just now, everyone felt that Yang Miao was a monster. Duan Qingyang and Yin Luan also frowned. The two of them never thought that Yang Miao had such methods. Also, right now, Yang Miao truly had the cultivation of the 5th level of the origin realm. Or else Yang Miao wouldn't have been able to tear a 2nd level origin realm martial artist in half with a casual strike. Seeing Yang Miao's gaze look towards Tang Ao, the martial artists around Tang Ao gradually backed away. Not long after, only Tang Ao and Luo Mo were still standing there. But at that instant, Luo Mo also changed his laughing expression. Instead, he revealed an unprecedentedly serious expression as he stared at Yang Miao. Tang Ao felt that the monk was quite interesting. He didn't even escape at a time like this. Big brother Tang Ao, I'll stop him. You leave first. After you leave, you can come find me at the Cloud Wan Palace. When everyone distanced themselves from Tang Ao, Yun Luan, who was previously far away, also came to Tang Ao's side. Hearing Yun Luan's words, Tang Ao hiddenly felt in his heart. But Tang Ao knew that even though Yun Luan had the cultivation of the 2nd level of the origin realm, the current Yun Luan absolutely could not stop Yang Miao. If Yun Luan forcefully stopped Yang Miao, then Yun Luan's ending would probably not be any better than the martial artist who was torn in half by Yang Miao and Zhao Yang. Also, even though Tang Ao's current cultivation was not even a 10,000th of his peak, Tang Ao never had the problem of hiding behind a woman. So, Tang Ao softly said to Yun Luan, "Junior Yun Luan, back off. I have my own ways." After speaking, Tang Ao also said to Luo Mo, who was on the side, "Big monk, I will definitely go with you to the remains that you want to go to. Right now, move to the side and watch how I take care of him." But after Tang Ao finished speaking, no matter if it was Yun Luan or Luo Mo, they had no intentions of leaving. Seeing the two like this, Tang Ao smiled bitterly and shook his head. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Tang Ao's hands quickly formed several seals. Quickly after, the crowd saw faint golden-colored essence slowly flowing around Tang Ao. At the same time, Tang Ao's cultivation instantly rose to the 1st level of the origin realm. Even Yang Miao had so many methods. As a reincarnation of the Demon Lord, how could Tang Ao not know a few secret techniques? Now, Tang Ao was using a mystic technique that ignited his life soul when he arrived. This mystic technique was the nameless technique that Tang Ao had obtained in his previous life when he obtained the mysterious heaven skill. This nameless technique was very mysterious. Tang Ao still did not understand what this nameless technique was. However, Tang Ao was very clear about the power of this nameless technique. It was different from the life-burning pill burning one's lifespan to increase one's cultivation. This nameless technique burned the awakened life soul of a warrior. At that moment, the life soul that Tang Ao was burning was not any other life soul. It was Tang Ao's battle Sagebone life soul. In his previous life, Tang Ao had used this nameless technique. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that the price of using this nameless technique was extremely high. The life soul that was ignited could be extremely weak and fall into a deep sleep. It could also be completely shattered, unable to even return to the boundless world. Therefore, if he was not at the end of the line, Tang Ao would not take the risk to use such a mystic technique. During Tang Ao's cultivation, the battle Sagebone life soul had always been a powerful help to Tang Ao. At that moment, when Tang Ao ignited the battle Sagebone life soul, the battle Sagebone life soul also let out a sorrowful cry. This sorrowful cry was not because it was afraid that it was about to disappear, but because it was reluctant to part with Tang Ao. Due to the heaven evolution record, Tang Ao knew that the life soul was not actually a method, but a special life. It also had emotions and even some simple thoughts. Just like Tang Ao's Jadebone life soul, it had extremely high intelligence compared to other life souls. Feeling the emotions coming from the battle's Sagebone life soul, Tang Ao said lightly, "Don't worry, I swear I won't let you disappear. Now lend me your power and let me kill this old bastard." At the same time, strong killing intent appeared on Tang Ao's body. This time, Tang Ao was truly angry. Tang Ao had never offended Yang Miao, but Yang Miao had repeatedly found trouble with him. This time, Yang Miao even forced Tang Ao to burn his life soul to save his life. So, Tang Ao decided that no matter what price he had to pay, Yang Miao had to die. After Tang Ao's aura rose to the first level of the origin martial realm, Tang Ao's cultivation did not continue to rise. Although they admitted that Tang Ao was powerful, no one felt that Tang Ao, who was at the first level of the origin martial realm, had the ability to deal with Yang Miao, who was at the fifth level of the origin martial realm. Chapter 1651. In Tang Ao's previous life, he had obtained this nameless method for quite some time. However, Tang Ao did not use this secret technique many times. There were a total of 3 secret techniques on this nameless method. From Tang Ao's point of view, these 3 secret techniques could all be called forbidden techniques. Although the power was great, the price was also very terrifying. However, because the last 2 secret techniques could only be used after cultivating the complete mysterious heaven method, even in Tang Ao's previous life, he only mastered the first secret technique, which was this secret technique of burning his life soul. In Tang Ao's memories, he had used this secret technique of burning his life soul 3 times in his previous life. Without exception, the 3 life souls he had burned had completely disappeared. Normally, after a warrior died, their life souls would return to the kingdom of the life soul and return to the great thousand world. Just like that, they would start a journey again and again. However, there were some special situations, and that was the complete blackening of the life soul. The blackening of the life soul referred to the complete disappearance of the life soul. In his previous life, this was the situation when Tang Ao burned his 3 life souls. After burning them, the 3 life souls completely blackened. In this world, they did not exist at all. That was why when Tang Ao burned the Battle Saint Bone life soul, the Battle Saint Bone life soul would let out a sorrowful cry. If there was any other choice, Tang Ao would definitely not be willing to burn his own life soul. However, facing Yang Miao, who was at the 5th level of the origin martial realm, other than burning his life soul, Tang Ao had no other way to deal with Yang Miao. Although he used the secret technique of burning his life soul, Tang Ao did not act impulsively. After his cultivation rose to the 1st level of the origin martial realm, Tang Ao stopped. Quickly after, Tang Ao also took out the sacred origin bow. No matter how much more powerful Tang Ao was, Tang Ao did not feel that a 1st level origin realm martial artist could fight against a 5th level origin realm martial artist. So, this time, Tang Ao prepared to use the sacred origin bow against Yang Miao. With Tang Ao's cultivation of the 1st level of the origin realm, he shouldn't even be able to pull the bowstring of the primordial sacred heavenly bow. However, since Tang Ao refined the first 36 layers of restrictions, he couldn't even pull the bowstring. Therefore, as Tang Ao injected all his essence energy into the primordial sacred sky bow, Tang Ao slowly pulled back the bowstring. At that moment, Yang Miao was no longer as deranged as before. After Tang Ao took out the primordial sacred heaven bow, Yang Miao's eyes also revealed a trace of seriousness. Tang Ao was definitely not a reckless person. At a time like that, Tang Ao still dared to come in front of him. It meant that Tang Ao still had a certain amount of confidence. So, Yang Miao determined that the golden bow was definitely not an ordinary item. In the air, Tang Ao strenuously pulled the primordial sacred sky bow with both hands. Tang Ao had to admit that with his current cultivation, using the primordial sacred sky bow was really overestimating himself. Even when he was in the life and death realm, he was unable to use the primordial sacred sky bow as he wished. As for now, after burning his life spirit, he only reached the 1st level of the origin realm. It was even more difficult to use the primordial sacred sky bow. Before, when Tang Ao was in the life and death realm, he could barely pull the primordial sacred sky bow to the limit after using all his strength. But now, after Tang Ao used all his strength, the primordial sacred sky bow was only pulled back a little by Tang Ao. Tang Ao knew that if he continued to use the secret technique to burn the battle's sacred bone life spirit, he could pull the bowstring back a little more. Then, Yang Miao would definitely die today. Chapter 1652. Although Tang Ao was determined to kill Yang Miao, Tang Ao knew that the possibility of him killing Yang Miao right now wasn't big. After being locked on by Tang Ao's primordial sacred heavenly bow, Yang Miao immediately felt a very dangerous feeling. He even felt a sliver of the threat of death. Yang Miao knew that he couldn't give Tang Ao any more time. Although the bow in Tang Ao's hands looked very powerful, for some reason, Tang Ao seemed to be unable to completely control the bow. A spirit weapon that couldn't be completely controlled wasn't a good thing for a martial artist. It was because a spirit weapon that couldn't be completely controlled could very possibly drag down a martial artist in battle. Thinking about that, Yang Miao also instantly attacked Tang Ao. Although it seemed like Tang Ao was having a bit of trouble using the primordial sacred heavenly bow, Yang Miao had a feeling that if he waited any longer, the unlucky one would be him. Seeing Yang Miao charge over, Tang Ao's face was slightly pained. Although he might not be able to kill Yang Miao this time, as long as Tang Ao had some time, heavily injuring Yang Miao was still possible. Also, Tang Ao felt that as long as he heavily injured Yang Miao, the interest of the martial artists on scene towards Yang Miao wouldn't be any less than towards himself. A type of medicinal pill that could raise a martial artist cultivation from level 2 of the origin realm to level 5 of the origin realm was absolutely enough to attract everyone's eyes. Taking in a deep breath, Tang Ao released the origin chi on his body, and he indifferently shouted, "Go!" Immediately after, everyone saw a black heaven arrow formed by origin chi explosively shoot out. From the black heaven arrow, everyone felt the aura of death. No one knew whether the black heaven arrow could kill Yang Miao or not, but everyone was sure that if Tang Ao's black heaven arrow was attacking them, there probably wouldn't be anyone who could take it. At that time, many martial artists also revealed greedy expressions as they looked at the primordial sacred heavenly bow in Tang Ao's hand. On the path of cultivation, other than cultivating diligently, if one wanted to quickly increase their strength, the easiest way was to plunder. Plunder better techniques. Plunder better martial skills. Plunder better spirit weapons. At this moment, many people were tempted by Tang Ao's primordial sacred heaven bow. This golden bow seemed to have an infinite charm at this moment, causing everyone to be unable to move their eyes away. Of course, while staring at the primordial sacred heavenly bow, they were also paying attention to the black heaven arrow. At that time, Yang Miao and the black heaven arrow collided. Just now, Ao's armor talisman already disappeared. However, Yang Miao's armor talisman Miao was too blind. Yang Miao, Tang Ao didn't know anything about Yang Ao. Towards Yang Miao's thoughts, Tang Ao could only say that Yang Miao really knew nothing about immortal talismans. If he did Yang Miao, nothing would, and Tang Ao would be dead. Of Ao, Tang Yang would be Miao Yang of. God Yang would Ao, Yang would be killed by Yang. If he did that, it was very possible that nothing would happen to Yang Miao, and Tang Ao would be killed by the rebound of the primordial sacred heavenly bow. Just now, when he used the primordial sacred heavenly bow to attack Yang Miao, Tang Ao was also on guard. If Yang Miao took out another armor talisman, Tang Ao would unhesitatingly hide into the primal chaotic hexlight mirror. Tang Ao did not believe that no matter how powerful the immortal talisman was, the rebound could pierce through the primal chaotic hexlight mirror and kill him. Chapter 1653. Asterisk rumble, rumble, rumble asterisk in the air. Countless powerful essence shot in all directions. In the instant the black sky arrow and Yang Miao collided, Yang Miao took out a 9-star spirit shield. In Yang Miao's perspective, he was already careful enough. But what Yang Miao never would have thought was that in front of the black sky arrow, the sturdy shield was like thin paper. In the instant it touched, it was shattered by the black sky arrow. Then, the black sky arrow had no more obstructions and it landed on Yang Miao's body. Since the black sky arrow was too fast, Yang Miao didn't even have time to react after the shield was shattered and he was hit in the right shoulder. Quickly after, everyone watched with despair as the right half of Yang Miao's body instantly became a ball of blood after being hit by the black sky arrow. At that instant, although Yang Miao was still in the air, Yang Miao's right hand and right leg already completely disappeared. If it was in the profound yellow continent, there were many ways to deal with body injuries. But in the Flying Star continent, if a martial artist's physical body was damaged to that degree, then that martial artist was crippled. So, even Yang Miao himself was a bit dumbfounded. Clearly, Yang Miao never would have thought that even after his cultivation rose to the 5th level of the Origin Realm, he still could not stop one of Tang Ao's Black Sky Arrow. Since it was like that, why didn't Tang Ao use the primordial Sacred Heaven Bow to deal with him? Just as Yang Miao had those suspicions, Tang Ao's body suddenly swayed twice, then fell from the air to the ground. In the attack, just now, all of Tang Ao's essence was sucked clean by the primordial Sacred Heaven Bow. Right now, there was almost not a single strand of essence left in Tang Ao's body. With a thought, Tang Ao put away the primordial Sacred Heaven Bow. Also at that time, Shui Hen's voice came from afar. Tang Ao, quick! Hearing Shui Hen's hurried voice, Tang Ao immediately turned his head to look. Quickly after, Tang Ao saw 2 balls of blood flying over from nearby. The distance between the 2 balls of blood was continuously getting closer. Tang Ao knew that the bloody mist in front of him was the result of the blood mist spell, but the bloody mist in the back was something Tang Ao couldn't understand. Whoosh! The bloody mist condensed, and Shui Hen's figure appeared beside Tang Ao. Shui Hen didn't dare to speak any nonsense. His hands immediately formed a series of incomparably powerful hand seals, and before Tang Ao could react, he imprinted the hand seals into Tang Ao's palms. Following that, 70% of Tang Ao's blood essence was extracted in an instant. A mass of bloody light enveloped Tang Ao and Shui Hen. At this time, the blood mist that had been chasing after Shui Hen gradually solidified, but what Tang Ao never expected was that it was actually just a blood-colored remnant soul. Moreover, this blood-colored remnant soul was somewhat familiar to Tang Ao. After pondering for a moment, Tang Ao recalled that this fellow had appeared in the video of a battle between celestial turbid realm experts that Shi Yunyun had shown them. Seeing this, Tang Ao immediately understood that Shi Yunyun wasn't the only old monster hiding in the Facian continent. Moreover, the Facian continent was definitely an extraordinary place in the past. Or it could be said that the Facian continent had some kind of precious treasure. Otherwise, it wouldn't have attracted these old monsters of the celestial turbid realm. Chapter 1654. However, when it saw Yang Miao hovering in the air with only half his body, the blood-red remnant soul did not hesitate at all. It turned into a bloody mist and swept up Yang Miao. Soon after, everyone heard Yang Miao's screams coming from within the bloody mist. At this time, the blood-red light completely enveloped Tang Ao and Shui Hen. Then, with a flash of blood-red light, the two disappeared. After Tang Ao left, Yang Miao's screams continued to ring out from the blood mist. After a while, the screams finally stopped. Then, everyone saw Yang Miao appear in front of them again. However, at this moment, Yang Miao had become very evil, and the most shocking thing was that Yang Miao's body, which had been shattered by the mysterious sky arrow, had completely healed. Bloody Vulture looked at his new body with slight dissatisfaction. At this moment, Yang Miao's soul had already been devoured by Blood Vulture. Right now, The owner of this body was Blood Vulture. Bloody Vulture raised his head and looked at the place where Tang Ao and Xue Hen had disappeared. Bloody Vulture coveted Xue Hen's body very much. In Bloody Vulture's perception, Xue Hen's body seemed to be very suitable for cultivating blood chi cultivation methods. But now that Blood Scar used blood shadow evasion to escape, he couldn't catch up with him in his current state. However, as long as Blood Scar was in this scarlet wasteland, he would have a chance sooner or later. As for now, he could only make do with Yang Miao's body. After reconstructing his body, the Blood Vulture also consumed a lot of energy. Just now, Yang Miao's cultivation rose to the 5th level of the Origin Realm, but now he was only at the 9th level of the Body Refinement Realm. Body Refining Realm Level 9 cultivation was lower than all the martial artists here, but no one dared to underestimate Yang Miao. After all, right now, no one knew what exactly happened to Yang Miao. At this moment, Yang Miao spoke in a cold voice. "I am Emperor Blood Vulture. Do any of you have such a token or know where it went?" At that moment, a meteorite token appeared in Xue Jio's hand. Other cultivators might not know much about the Falling Star token, but as the leaders of the 8 great overlords, Duan Qinyang and Yun Wan knew about it. Furthermore, Yun Wan also had a Fallen Star token. This Fallen Star token was obtained by her aunt all those years ago, and her aunt had left a letter instructing her to take good care of this Fallen Star token. If possible, he would also find a way to get the other 7 Fallen Star tokens. On the other side, Tang Ao and Blood Scar arrived at a mountain forest. After using the Blood Shadow evasion, the two of them became as weak as dead dogs. Fortunately, the two of them managed to escape. After revealing himself, Tang Ao used the heavenly pole pupils to look around with a tired look in his eyes. After making sure that there were only some evil beasts and no warriors around, Tang Ao took Blood Scar and himself into the chaotic hexagram mirror space. Then, under Tang Ao's control, the chaotic 6 light mirror slowly burrowed into the ground. With the previous lesson from the Yi siblings, Tang Ao really did not dare to rashly heal in this state. Previously, the Yi siblings were small characters, so they were easily dealt with by Xue Hen. If it was the guy chasing after Blood Scar this time, then the two of them would probably die without even knowing how they died. Chapter 1655. Due to losing so much essence blood, Tang Ao's hair had turned somewhat gray. Compared to Tang Ao, Xue Hen's condition wasn't much better. At that moment, Tang Ao saw Xue Hen sitting cross-legged on the ground, his hands continuously forming one technique after another. Immediately, drops of essence blood were extracted from Xue Hen's body. These drops of essence blood gathered around Xue Hen like blood-colored gems. However, Xue Ge didn't want Tang Ao to appreciate his blood essence by stripping it out of his body. When Tang Ao saw Xue Hen, he furrowed his brows and carefully searched for something in these drops of essence blood. It seemed as if there was something wrong with them. However, after searching for a long time, Xue Hen still couldn't find anything. This made him even more confused. Seeing Xue Hen's appearance, a blue light flashed in Tang Ao's eyes. Immediately, Tang Ao's pupils transformed into 36 snow petal patterns. The heavenly extreme pupils could examine the world and see through everything. With the heavenly extreme pupils, Tang Ao could naturally see the secrets hidden in Xue Hen's essence blood. Tang Ao's soul remembrance moved and a wisp of netherworld flame was summoned. Next, the netherworld flame flew to one of Xue Hen's drops of essence blood and incinerated it into nothingness. After the drop of essence blood was incinerated by Tang Ao's netherworld flame, Xue Hen suddenly felt the weight on his body lighten. Then, an incomparably complex blood-colored net flew out from his body. It flew aimlessly within the primal chaos hexagram mirror space. Seeing this blood net, Tang Ao was secretly shocked. The bloody net was actually a grade 6 immortal artifact. At that very moment, it had been refined by someone. Only, The connection between the bloody net and its owner had become extremely weak within the primal chaos hexlight mirror space. Thus, it could only fly aimlessly within the primal chaos hexlight mirror space. Shui Hen raised his head and looked at the blood net. Then he said in shock, "It really is the overarching blood net. I really don't know who the guy chasing me is. He actually has such a treasure." Shui Gu himself cultivated a blood chi cultivation method, so he was very familiar with treasures related to blood chi cultivation methods. The reason why Shui Hen had asked Tang Ao for help was because he had been trapped by Bloody Vulture's overarching blood net. Now that he had broken free and was in Tang Ao's chaotic hexagram mirror, Shui Hen accepted the blood net without hesitation. The blood energy on Shui Hen's body surged, and the blood net was swept away by him. Although the exalted blood net had already been refined by someone, perhaps because its connection to its master was too weak in the chaotic hexlight mirror, or perhaps because Shui Gu also cultivated a blood chi cultivation method, the exalted blood net didn't reject Shui Gu that much. Seeing Shui Hen refine the overarching blood net, Tang Ao smiled and said, "You are not polite at all. I didn't realize that you were so shameless before. I've been suppressed by you. Whether you refine the overarching blood net or I do, it's all the same. Plus, I'm more proficient in blood chi cultivation methods. This overarching blood net will be more powerful in my hands." Although Bloodscar spoke in a serious manner, he was still a little afraid that Tang Ao would insist on refining the great overarching blood net. Chapter 1656. Therefore, Shueskar could break free from the restriction of his body and use a forbidden secret technique like the blood mist spell at will. Indeed, although Shueskar could use the blood mist spell at will, it was indeed a forbidden secret technique. It was just that after cultivating the sacred blood scripture, Shueskar had completely broken free from the restriction of his body. Therefore, he could turn his body into blood mist at will. As long as he could completely refine this great law blood net, Shueskar would be able to remove Tang Ao's soul imprint through the net. However, Shueskar also knew that in order to completely refine the great law blood net, his cultivation base would have to at least recover to the astral reaching realm. According to Tang Ao's previous words, as long as Tang Ao could refine the 3 treasure blood lotus pellet, recovering to the astral reaching realm wouldn't be a problem at all. As long as his cultivation base recovered to the astral reaching realm, he could immediately use the Great Law blood net to remove Tang Ao's soul imprint. At that time, if Tang Ao's cultivation base was too low, the situation would be reversed. After all, he was very interested in Tang Ao's primordial sacred sky bow and primal chaos 6 light mirror, as well as the farmer god cauldron in the corner not far away. Seeing these treasures, Shueskar felt a bit depressed. He couldn't understand why Tang Ao would get all the benefits. He had been reborn for so long, yet he had only obtained 1 Great Law blood net. However, Tang Ao had obtained so many treasures. He didn't know much about the primal chaos 6 light mirror, but he knew about the primordial sacred sky bow and the farmer god cauldron. The farmer god cauldron was known as the world's #1 pellet furnace, while the primordial sacred sky bow was publicly recognized as the strongest divine weapon in the black-yellow continent in his previous life. It was just that he didn't have the chance to see the primordial sacred sky bow in his previous life, but he still heard about the incident of Tang Ao breaking into the black-yellow continent to steal the bow. However, the result seemed to be that Tang Ao was discovered, leading to a great battle between the experts of the Sky Bow sect and Tang Ao. In the end, Tang Ao even escaped with heavy injuries. When Bloodscar first heard about this, he was happy for a long time. What he didn't expect was that in this life, Tang Ao actually obtained the primordial sacred sky bow. Do you know that there's a higher realm above the astral reaching realm? In his previous life, Bloodscar was just like him. He had also trained to the peak of astral reaching realm level 9, but he had not been able to make any further breakthroughs. Therefore, Tang Ao did not know whether the Bloodscar knew about the realm above the astral reaching realm or not. Could it be the Tao Master realm? After all, Bloodscar now knew that it was the origin magnet Dao Master who had underestimated and killed them. Therefore, Bloodscar believed that the realm above the astral reaching realm should be the Dao sovereign realm. Tang Ao shook his head. The realm above the astral reaching realm is called the yin-yang realm. The realm above the yin-yang realm is called the muddy sky realm, and the Dao Master realm is above the muddy sky realm. I've seen the image of the fellow who chased after you just now. He's a chaotic heaven stage powerhouse. Furthermore, he's not the only chaotic heaven stage old monster in this place. He's actually a chaotic heaven stage powerhouse. Why would so many powerhouses gather in such a low-grade place? Bloodscar didn't think that Tang Ao was lying. However, he still couldn't understand why so many peak powerhouses would visit such a low-grade place. Generally speaking, the lower the grade of a place, the more sparse the spiritual chi of the world would be. At the same time, it would be very difficult to give birth to any spiritual objects. Bloodscar knew that there were many such low-grade places around the black-yellow continent, and he had also visited many of them. However, the conclusion he came to after his travels was that the sparser the spiritual chi of the world was, the less good things there were. If it were before, Tang Ao would also think so. But now, Tang Ao didn't dare to think like this. Chapter 1657. This is the rank 3 immortal spirit herb, Kunlun flower. Legend has it that it can heal all injuries to the body. Having a Kunlun flower is equivalent to having an extra life. You should have heard of this thing before. The image Tang Ao conjured with his soul remembrance was naturally what Xiaoling had seen. You said this is the Kunlun flower? Bloodscar opened his mouth, but was unable to speak for a long time. After seeing this legendary treasure with his own eyes, Bloodscar was too shocked. Moreover, from Bloodscar's point of view, the Kunlun flower seemed to be in this place. After all, Bloodscar had seen most of the vegetation around the Kunlun flower. Look at this. Ignoring Bloodscar's astonishment, Tang Ao once again presented an image to Bloodscar. This image was what Shi Yunyun had shown Tang Ao and the others. In this image, the martial artist who had chased after Bloodscar was also fighting. Moreover, it wasn't hard to see that these fellows were fighting outside the Flying Star continent. So that's how it is. I was wondering how you knew that he was a turbid heaven stage expert. After seeing this image, Bloodscar also understood why Tang Ao had said that the martial artist who had chased him was a turbid heaven stage old monster. It turned out that Tang Ao had seen the martial artist fight. Of course, this isn't all. There are many treasures in Evergreen Valley. In the black-yellow continent, it is unknown how many ruins and cave residences one would have to search to find a damaged immortal artifact. However, they're like trash here. I have never met a martial artist who didn't have 1 or 2 damaged immortal artifacts. Perhaps a long time ago, this place really was an extraordinary place. However, even now, I still don't understand what secrets are hidden here. While speaking to Bloodscar, Tang Ao also sat up. Then, with a thought, Tang Ao disappeared in front of Bloodscar. In the primal chaos 6 light mirror space, Tang Ao was the true ruler. Even if it was someone like Shi Yun, if he was sucked into the primal chaos hexagram mirror space by Tang Ao, he could only be slaughtered by Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao knew that if he wanted to absorb other things into the primal chaos hexagram mirror, he would either have to refine the item, or the other party would have to completely let go of its soul and not resist. Hence, the idea of using the chaotic hexagram mirror to deal with the enemy was very unrealistic. Right now, Tang Ao had arrived at a small house within the primal chaos hexlight mirror. This small house was a cultivation cave that Tang Ao had refined. After setting up the restriction, Tang Ao entered the small house and sat down cross-legged to adjust his condition. At the same time, Tang Ao also took out a few medicinal pills and began to heal himself. This time, Tang Ao had obtained quite a number of soul crystals. Tang Ao wanted to see if he could repair his soul C with so many soul crystals. Although he had already planted a soul brand on Shui Hen, Tang Ao still did not want Xue Hin to know about his matters. Although Tang Ao was very confident in his soul brand, there were just too many unknown and mysterious means in this world. Tang Ao was worried that Xue Hin might remove his soul brand at some point. If that happened, then he would be in danger. This time, he was able to restrain Xue Hin. It was truly a stroke of luck. Xue Hin was unexpectedly unlucky enough to meet him in his rebirth. Although he could restrain Xue Hin, it did not mean that he was much stronger than Xue Hin. In fact, in his previous life, Xue Hin was one of the few opponents that Tang Ao had. Every time the two fought, the outcome of the battle would be 50-50. Therefore, Tang Ao never dared to look down on Xue Hin. Before Tang Ao's soul, had completely recovered. Even if Tang Ao refined the three treasures blood lotus pill, Tang Ao would not dare to give it to Xue Hin. Now that he had restrained Xue Hin, everything was under his control. But once Xue Hin erased his soul brand, and Xue Hin's cultivation was stronger than his, then the situation would definitely be reversed. Although Tang Ao had consumed a lot of energy this time, after taking a healing pill and adjusting his breathing for 15 days, Tang Ao's previous consumption was almost restored. 15 days might not seem like a long time, but for a martial artist with a long lifespan, 15 days was really just a blink of an eye. Their 15 days was not much different from an ordinary person's 2 hours. After his physical condition recovered, Tang Ao also took out all the soul crystals that he had previously harvested. Previously, Tang Ao had used the intoxicating syrup grass and the powder of the scarlet flamestone to kill more than 7,000 purple conch mosquitoes. Therefore, Tang Ao had also harvested more than 7,000 soul crystals. Although it sounded like a lot, because the soul crystals were only the size of rice grains, more than 7,000 soul crystals were only a small bag. Tang Ao was still looking forward to these soul crystals. Therefore, after adjusting his state, Tang Ao opened the bag. Chapter 1658. Within the primal chaos 6 light mirror space, Bloodscar and Tang Ao were quietly sitting. In front of Bloodscar, a large net flashing with blood aura floated. This blood net was the great overarching blood net that Bloodscar had obtained before. The great overarching blood net had a total of 36 layers of restrictions. Bloodscar was only able to refine the first 2 layers of restrictions with all his strength. This made Bloodscar very dissatisfied. If he wanted to erase the soul imprint that Tang Ao had placed on his soul, he had to refine the great overarching blood net to at least 24 layers of restrictions. Right now, he could only refine the first 2 layers of restrictions with all his strength. Bloodscar felt a bit helpless. This great overarching blood net was indeed a 6th grade immortal item. The difficulty of refining its restrictions was something Bloodscar had never encountered before. For a treasure like Tang Ao's Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror, Bloodscar couldn't imagine just how powerful its restrictions were. Moreover, to what degree Tang Ao had refined the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror to allow Tang Ao to control the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror as he pleased. Just now, Bloodscar had been paying attention to Tang Ao. However, under Bloodscar's soul remembrance, Tang Ao had silently disappeared. Of course, Tang Ao hadn't truly disappeared. At this moment, Tang Ao was not far from Bloodscar. However, the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror was under Tang Ao's control. Without Tang Ao's permission, Bloodscar couldn't detect Tang Ao's location. Compared to the primordial sacred heavenly bow with 108 layers of restrictions, the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror only had 9 layers of restrictions. However, these 9 layers of restrictions were not normal. Up until now, Tang Ao had only refined 3 layers of the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror's restrictions. Tang Ao had a premonition that as he refined the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror, the secrets hidden within the mirror would gradually be revealed to him. Until now, Tang Ao still did not understand where the treasures like the 100 Herb collection that appeared in the Primal Chaos Hexagram Mirror had come from. According to Tang Ao's perception, the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror was vast and boundless. However, because Tang Ao had only refined 3 layers of the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror, Tang Ao's range of movement was extremely limited. He could only move about in this area. Beyond that was a chaotic void, and he had no way of knowing what was inside. At this moment, in Tang Ao's cave abode, many soul crystals surrounded Tang Ao. Following the circulation of Tang Ao's cultivation technique, traces of pure soul power from the soul crystal flowed into Tang Ao's body. Tang Ao circulated the soul power for a full cycle before guiding it into his soul sea. Immediately after, Tang Ao saw that after this special soul power was drawn into his soul sea, his shattered soul sea actually began to gradually heal. Although it was only a small portion, Tang Ao was still extremely excited. Ordinary martial artists could open up their spirit sea after cultivating to the spirit sea realm. However, martial artists with the 9 dragons Emperor J body would have a spirit sea and soul sea after awakening their physique. It was very special. Therefore, after Tang Ao's soul sea was shattered, even as a grade 6 spirit pill master, Tang Ao was somewhat helpless. Moreover, the Shinnong Emperor's alchemy inheritance rarely mentioned the 9 dragons Emperor J body. After his soul sea was shattered, Tang Ao had tried many methods to repair his soul sea, but the results were minimal. It was Tang Ao's first time seeing such a method that had such an immediate effect. After sensing that the special soul power in the soul crystal could really repair his soul sea, Tang Ao was ecstatic. As long as his soul sea could be repaired, Xuehuan would not be able to break Tang Ao's soul imprint. Chapter 1659. Taking a deep breath, Tang Ao's meridians circulated at full force. At this time, the soul power in the soul crystals around Tang Ao was quickly extracted by Tang Ao. After Tang Ao extracted the soul power, the soul crystals shattered and turned into powder. The soul crystals around Tang Ao were decreasing, but Tang Ao's soul sea was being repaired more and more. However, Tang Ao's expression gradually turned bitter. Tang Ao realized that even though he had collected so many soul crystals this time, he was still a long way from repairing his soul sea. Now, Tang Ao had almost used up the 7,000 soul crystals he had obtained, but Tang Ao's soul sea had only been repaired by 1/5. This way, if Tang Ao wanted to completely repair his soul sea, he would need a lot more soul crystals. Not long after, the soul crystals around Tang Ao were completely shattered into powder. Tang Ao's soul sea was naturally not completely repaired. However, after Tang Ao's soul sea was repaired to this extent, Tang Ao's soul remembrance had also greatly improved. Tang Ao felt that his soul remembrance would probably not be disturbed in the Scarlet Wasteland. At the same time, Tang Ao's previously dispirited life soul seemed to be glowing with life. Even the Battle Sagebone life soul that burned when Tang Ao used the nameless technique had recovered. As for the Green Lotus sword soul, it was now at the 13th firmament. Previously, because Tang Ao's soul sea was completely shattered, the Green Lotus sword soul was only at the 11th firmament. Now that it had suddenly increased by 2 firmament, Tang Ao's combat strength had also greatly increased. As Tang Ao's soul remembrance strengthened, Tang Ao's soul imprint also became stronger. Previously, Tang Ao's control over the blood scar was very weak. However, now, in Tang Ao's soul remembrance, the connection between the blood scar and his soul imprint was very clear. After Tang Ao strengthened his soul imprint, Xuehen was also slightly shocked. From the bloodstains, he could vaguely sense that Tang Ao's body exuded a declining aura. Clearly, he was seriously injured, especially after Tang Ao left a soul remembrance imprint on the blood scar. This feeling was even more obvious. But at this moment, Bloodscar didn't know what happened. Suddenly, Tang Ao's control over him increased. Even so, Bloodscar wasn't worried. Now that he had the exalted blood net, As long as he refined the exalted blood net into 24 layers of restrictions, he could use it to erase Tang Ao's soul brand. With that thought in mind, Bloodscar pretended that nothing had happened and continued to cultivate. However, the blood chi cultivation method that Bloodscar cultivated required him to constantly absorb and refine the essence of blood chi, so such cultivation was not very meaningful to him. 7 days later, Tang Ao, who was sitting cross-legged in the cave abode, opened his eyes. After feeling that his soul chi was more abundant than before, Tang Ao was quite satisfied. After a portion of Tang Ao's soul chi was repaired, Tang Ao's life soul, which had been shattered by Han Yan's dual feather swords, had also completely recovered. In Tang Ao's opinion, a large portion of the soul power in the soul crystal might have been absorbed by these life souls. Otherwise, his soul chi might have recovered a little. Chapter 1660. When Tang Ao walked out of the cave, he saw that Xue Hin had more or less recovered. Moreover, Tang Ao could tell that Xue Hin had already refined 3 layers of the great overarching blood net. Although he had only refined 3 layers, which wasn't much, Tang Ao still sighed inwardly at Xue Hin's power. It should be known that Xue Hin's cultivation base was only at the 6th level of body refining realm, while the great overarching blood net was a grade 6 immortal artifact. Under such circumstances, it was already not easy for Xue Hin to refine 3 layers of the great overarching blood net. As for the great overarching blood net, Tang Ao didn't know much about it. In other words, Tang Ao didn't know much about it. Right now, Tang Ao could only tell that the great overarching blood net was a grade 6 immortal artifact. Apart from that, Tang Ao didn't know anything else. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't know that the great overarching blood net had the effect of purifying blood essence. If the great overarching blood net only had the effect of purifying blood essence, then even if ordinary people obtained the great overarching blood net, they wouldn't be able to use it to erase the soul brand. However, Xuescar was different. If his entire body could be covered in blood mist, then as long as he refined the great overarching blood net to the 24th layer, Xuescar's blood mist would turn into a blood mist, and he would be able to easily erase Tang Ao's soul imprint. However, it wouldn't be easy for Xue Hin to refine the great overarching blood net to the 24th layer. Although Xue Hin had already refined 3 layers of the great overarching blood net, he discovered that just like other treasures, the later layers of the great overarching blood net, the harder it was to refine. Xue Hin estimated that if he wanted to completely refine the great overarching blood net, he would have to cultivate to the peak of life and death realm, or even astral reaching realm. Therefore, he would have to be controlled by Tang Ao for a long time, which made him quite depressed. However, because he had the means to counter Tang Ao, he finally felt a bit better. Let's go. We're going to look for soul crystals, Tang Ao said to Xue Hin, who nodded. Next, with a thought from Tang Ao, the two of them once again arrived at the forest that they had escaped from. Due to the fact that the two of them weren't in good condition, Tang Ao had only used his skypolarity pupils to scan the area. He didn't take a closer look. Now, that Tang Ao took a closer look, Tang Ao noticed that compared to other places in the Scarlet Wasteland, this place was clearly different. Therefore, in other places, the ground of the Scarlet Wasteland was scarlet, but the ground and the surrounding vegetation were very similar to other places. Even so, Tang Ao was sure that he was still in the Scarlet Wasteland. However, his current location seemed to be bordering the Scarlet Wasteland and some other place. As he thought of this, Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat. Next, Tang Ao thought of a place bordering the Scarlet Wasteland. Apart from Evergreen Valley, where else could it be? In other words, the Scarlet Wasteland was originally in Evergreen Valley. However, after the Scarlet Wasteland's mutation, most martial artists saw the Scarlet Wasteland and Evergreen Valley as 2 different regions. Where are we going now? Xue Hin used his soul remembrance to scan the surroundings. After discovering that there weren't even a few demonic beasts in the surroundings, he lost some interest. Due to cultivating a blood qi cultivation method, Shuihin only needed to find treasures containing blood qi to refine the essence of blood qi, or directly refine the blood essence of demonic beasts to increase his cultivation base. Chapter 1661. Currently, Tang Ao was going to find intoxicating pulp grass. If Bloodscar followed him to find intoxicating pulp grass, it would delay Bloodscar's cultivation. Moreover, unlike other martial artists, Bloodscar didn't need treasures like soul crystals. Therefore, Bloodscar following him was truly a waste of time. Thus, Tang Ao simply let Bloodscar find a place to cultivate on its own. Although Bloodscar had been planted with a soul imprint by Tang Ao, Bloodscar was still very motivated. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Bloodscar didn't say anything more. After sensing for a moment, it decided on a direction and left. After Bloodscar left, Tang Ao also used his soul remembrance. Indeed, as Tang Ao expected, after his soul sea was partially repaired, the Blood Wasteland's soul remembrance interference barrier was no longer able to interfere with Tang Ao's soul remembrance. Thus, Tang Ao's soul remembrance immediately radiated outwards. Soon after, Tang Ao discovered that there really wasn't any intoxicating pulp grass nearby. Not only intoxicating pulp grass, but even the 4 unique monsters of the Blood Wasteland, Tang Ao didn't see any. Thus, Tang Ao secretly wondered if this was the edge of the Blood Wasteland. To other martial artists, this might be a good place. There were many low-level spirit grasses and weak demon beasts. Not only could they collect spirit grasses to kill demon beasts, but they also wouldn't have to worry about powerful demon beasts suddenly appearing. However, to Tang Ao, this place really wasn't very useful. Thus, Tang Ao decided on a direction and left. In these few days of cultivation, Tang Ao's cultivation still hadn't reached the origin martial realm. However, he still broke through the body refinement realm's 9th level middle stage and entered the body refinement realm late stage. Tang Ao had a few yuan crystals on him, but Tang Ao hadn't used them to cultivate yet. Moreover, Tang Ao had far too few yuan crystals on him. After all, after Tang Ao came to the Blood Wasteland, he didn't have the time to carefully search for soul crystals. Because of one reason or another, Tang Ao had always been influenced by other martial artists. Now that he had the opportunity, Tang Ao was prepared to collect some soul crystals along the way. This time, after Shuekin used the blood shadow evasion, Tang Ao and Yi Zichen had obviously escaped far away. Tang Ao flew in the air for a while. His surroundings were still lush, without the slightest sign of the Scarlet Wasteland. After flying for a while, Tang Ao also landed in a mountain range. This was because Tang Ao had finally found a small patch of intoxicating pulp grass here. Intoxicating pulp grass was actually a very common low-level spirit grass. If it was somewhere else, then it would be very easy to find intoxicating pulp grass. However, in the Scarlet Wasteland, intoxicating pulp grass had been eaten by purple conch mosquitoes to the point of extinction. Wanting to find intoxicating pulp grass was very difficult. After harvesting this small patch of intoxicating pulp grass, Tang Ao took out his pill furnace and began to refine it. There weren't many intoxicating pulp grass here, so there was no need for Tang Ao to specially go to the chaotic 6-light mirror to refine the medicinal liquid essence. With his previous experience, Tang Ao was now very familiar with refining the intoxicating pulp grass essence. Not long after, the medicinal liquid essence of the intoxicating pulp grass was completely refined by Tang Ao. Then, after Tang Ao mixed in the scarlet flamestone powder, he took out the storage gourd that he had previously refined. At this moment, the gourd still contained some leftover intoxicating pulp grass juice. Because it was stored in this storage gourd, there were no changes to the intoxicating pulp grass juice. Immediately, Tang Ao poured the refined, intoxicating pulp grass essence into the storage gourd. Chapter 1662. After thinking for a while, Tang Ao still decided to go over and take a look. After all, Tang Ao had no idea what was going on in the Blood Wasteland. Now that he met other martial artists, Tang Ao could ask around for some information. After getting a bit closer, Tang Ao discovered that it was not only two Origin Realm martial artists fighting. It was two groups of martial artists fighting. Tang Ao did not rashly approach that situation. Clearly, Tang Ao had never seen a single one of the martial artists fighting. Tang Ao also did not know how the martial artists started fighting. However, Tang Ao knew that one side was going to lose very quickly. Within the two groups of martial artists, both sides had one Origin Realm martial artist, and the number of other martial artists were about the same. At that instant, one of the Origin Realm martial artists who were fighting was going to lose immediately. It was a blue-clothed young man, and his martial talent was clearly not bad, or else he wouldn't have broken into the Origin Realm at such a young age. However, perhaps it was because he was too young, so even if his martial talent was not bad, his battle experience was still too lacking. At that instant, the person fighting the blue-clothed young man was a middle-aged martial artist. The middle-aged martial artist had a gloomy expression, and at that moment, he was purposely exposing openings to lure the blue-clothed young man into his trap. As long as one had a bit of battle experience, they would be able to see through such a simple trick. However, the blue-clothed young man clearly had some achievements in his youth, so he was a bit arrogant. At that moment, he did not see through the sinister middle-aged man's trick at all. Instead, he kept on chasing after his opponent and walked into the trap step by step. Actually, Tang Ao really overestimated the blue-clothed young man. At that moment, the martial artist that was fighting the blue-clothed young man was using a death trap formation, and the blue-clothed young man did not understand formations at all. Naturally, he did not see through the trap. However, even if he could not see through the death trap formation, he should still be able to see the abnormality. After all, the middle-aged martial artist that he was fighting had the same cultivation as him. They were both in the early stages of the first level of the Origin Realm. In that situation, how could he easily force his opponent to retreat? Sure enough, after the blue-robed youth was completely lured into the trap and kill array, the middle-aged martial artist laughed wildly and said, "Lin Xiaofeng, die for me." As he spoke, the gloomy middle-aged man threw out a formation flag, and a hidden trap and kill array suddenly appeared. Dozens of arrows condensed from Origin energy instantly shot towards the blue-robed youth. At that moment, the blue-robed youth was trapped by the confinement formation and could not even dodge. He could only watch helplessly as the arrows flew towards him. Under such circumstances, Lin Xiaofeng would have definitely died. However, at this moment, a woman suddenly rushed into the trap array and stood in front of Lin Xiaofeng. This woman was extremely beautiful. At this moment, there was a poignant smile on her face. Clearly, she knew that if she used her body to block these arrows for Lin Xiaofeng, she would definitely die. However, there was no fear on this woman's face, only a deep longing for her lover. She was Lin Xiaofeng's fiancée. If the Blood Wasteland didn't appear in the dragon-subduing caves, then she and Lin Xiaofeng would already be married. After the Blood Wasteland appeared, Lin Xiaofeng used the Origin crystals that appeared in the Blood Wasteland to cultivate to the first level of the Origin Realm. She was very happy about that. However, she never would have thought that something like this would happen today. In that situation, other than risking her life to help Lin Xiaofeng block the fatal attack, she had no other choice. Chapter 1663. Otherwise, he could have told Luo Yunshang, who was in front of him, to dodge. However, if Luo Yunshang dodged, he would undoubtedly die. So, at this moment, not only did he not want Luo Yunshang to dodge, he even prayed in his heart that these energy arrows weren't too powerful. Otherwise, after he killed Luo Yunshang, he would still die. After seeing this woman, Tang Ao exclaimed, "Tsai." At the same time, Tang Ao felt a buzz in his head. Then, Tang Ao's figure flashed and appeared in front of Luo Yunshang. Luo Yunshang was also shocked by the sudden appearance of Tang Ao, but before Luo Yunshang could say anything, the energy arrows in the death trap formation flew over. Break! A golden light flashed on Tang Ao's body, and the Battle Saint Bone Life Spirit instantly appeared. The Battle Saint Bone Life Spirit now had the strength of the 12th level. Although these energy arrows were extremely sharp, under Tang Ao's punch, everyone was shocked to see that the energy arrows that couldn't be shot out in the death trap formation were actually shattered by Tang Ao's punch. However, after Tang Ao's punch shattered the energy arrows, Wang Ming also charged over. Just now, Wang Ming wanted to take this opportunity to kill Lin Xiaofeng, but when he saw Luo Yunshang suddenly rush in front of Lin Xiaofeng, Wang Ming realized that it wasn't good. Wang Ming was very clear about the abilities of his death trap formation. The death trap formation was extremely powerful, but the death trap formation was slightly weaker. If Luo Yunshang blocked the fatal blow in front of him, he might not be able to kill Lin Xiaofeng. So, without any hesitation, he unsheathed his sword and rushed over. The Wang family and the Lin family had been competing against each other for many years. This time, with the opportunity of origin crystals appearing in the blood-colored wasteland in the dragon's subduing caves, he and the master of the Lin family, Lin Huqing, both broke into the first level of the origin realm. Originally, that was nothing. After both sides broke through to the first level of the origin realm, the balance between the two big families was not broken. But what Wang Ming did not expect was that Lin Huqing's son, Lin Xiaofeng, had such outstanding talent in the martial Dao. After he and Lin Huqing broke into the first level of the origin realm, Lin Xiaofeng also broke into the first level of the origin realm. Compared to Lin Xiaofeng, his useless son was very disappointing. Up till now, he had only broken through to the 8th level of the body refining realm. Moreover, he indulged in wine and women all day long. Although he was at the 8th level of the body refining realm, with his cultivation level, he would not even be able to deal with an ordinary 8th level body refining realm martial artist. But now was clearly not the time to think about his useless son. Today, he made such a big scene to kill Lin Xiaofeng. As long as Lin Xiaofeng died, the Lin family and Wang family's strength would be equal again. Also, even if killing Lin Xiaofeng would attract the Lin family's crazy revenge, he was not afraid. If the Lin family really dared to do that, he did not even mind taking the chance to completely swallow the Lin family. Although his son was trash, his nephew, Wang Kuan, did not disappoint him. Currently, Wang Kuan was already the direct disciple of the Dan Alliance's Alliance Master. He also received the support of several elders in the Dan Alliance. Once the Lin family and Wang family started an all-out war, the Wang family would definitely receive the assistance of the Dan Alliance. Right now, the Wang family and Lin family's strength were already equal. The assistance of the Dan Alliance was definitely the last straw that crushed the mule. Chapter 1664. Although the current Wang Ming was only at the first level of the origin martial realm, which was only one level higher than Tang Ao, Wang Ming had a special sense of superiority. But after breaking into the first level of the origin realm, Wang Ming had a special sense of superiority. He felt that all body refinement realm martial artists were not even worth mentioning in front of him. In reality, the difference between the origin martial realm and the body refining realm was not small. Even when Lu Xingjin was at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm and had many records of fighting against origin martial realm martial artists, Lu Xingjin had never won. Because of that, the current Wang Ming did not put Tang Ao in his eyes. However, what Wang Ming did not expect was that after Tang Ao destroyed the arrow in the trap and killed Ray, he completely ignored him. Instead, he turned around and looked at the girl behind him. Wang Ming knew that girl. She was Lin Xiaofeng's fiancée, Luo Yunshang. That was why when Luo Yunshang suddenly rushed into the trap and killed Ray, Wang Ming felt that something bad was going to happen. However, it seemed that things were not as simple as he thought. The kid who destroyed the arrow in the trap and kill a ray with one punch seemed to know Luo Yunshang. Kai, is it really you? Tang Ao excitedly grabbed Luo Yunshang's arm. The energy in his body was very agitated. Clearly, Tang Ao's heart was not calm at that moment. Moreover, Tang Ao also noticed that after he destroyed the arrow in front of him with one punch, there was still an arrow that pierced through Luo Yunshang's left shoulder. Luo Yunshang was frightened by Tang Ao's sudden action. After struggling for a bit, she discovered that although they were both in the 9th level of the body refining realm, she still could not break free from Tang Ao's restraint. At that moment, Luo Yunshang had an expression of being wronged and said, "Mister, did you recognize the wrong person?" Luo Yunshang felt that Tang Ao might have recognized the wrong person because she heard Tang Ao call her Kai. Because she was extremely beautiful, there were some rich young masters who used this reason to strike up a conversation with her, but she ignored them. Looking at Tang Ao's expression and actions, Luo Yunshang felt that she might really look like someone that Tang Ao knew. Otherwise, Tang Ao would not have been so agitated, and he would not have suddenly appeared to help her block the fatal energy arrow from Wang Meng's death trap array. When Luo Yunshang did not speak, Tang Ao felt that Luo Yunshang was La Kale. After Luo Yunshang spoke, Tang Ao realized that Luo Yunshang's voice was the same as La Kale's. However, at this moment, Tang Ao finally confirmed that this beautiful woman in front of him, who was 90% similar to La Kale, was really not La Kale. This was because there was a jade bone vitality life soul in La Kale's body. If she was really La Kale, Tang Ao would be able to sense the existence of the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul's life soul. Furthermore, La Kale's Heavenly Phoenix Spirit Jade Body's special physique resonated with Tang Ao's 9 Dragons Emperor Jade Body. However, although Luo Yunshang resembled La Kale in terms of looks and voice, Luo Yunshang clearly did not have the Heavenly Phoenix Spirit Jade Body's physique. "Sorry, you look too much like my partner, so I mistook you for someone else." After shaking his head with a bitter smile, Tang Ao's eyes revealed exhaustion and disappointment. Then, Tang Ao took out a bottle of spring-returning pills from his storage ring and handed it to Luo Yunshang. At this moment, Luo Yunshang took a step back and did not take Tang Ao's pill. Tang Ao also realized that he had been rude. She only looked like La Kale, but in fact, she was not La Kale and did not know him. However, although Tang Ao knew that she was not La Kale, seeing that she looked so similar to La Kale, Tang Ao looked at her with a gentle gaze. This was not because Tang Ao had any feelings for Luo Yunshang, but because Tang Ao missed La Kale too much. Back then, when Tang Ao split up everything and decided to live an ordinary life with Qin Yue Shuang, the Qin father and daughter's scheme shattered Tang Ao's fantasy. Therefore, Tang Ao made up his mind to return to his peak in this life and battle all the gods and demons in the world again. When Tang Ao went to Seven Kills sect, he met the quiet and somewhat mischievous but very gentle girl. After parting ways in the Emperor Hades' mystic realm, Tang Ao had not seen La Kale for a very long time. Although Tang Ao's master, Yun Xiaoyao, had said that La Kale had used the transportation formation in the Emperor Hades' mystic realm to go to a higher realm was her opportunity and a good thing. However, if it was possible, Tang Ao still hoped that La Kale could wait for him at Seven Kills sect. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.